Okay, welcome to the Street Talk segment of the podcast. We've got 6 storylines to talk about with you today. I thought it was going to be 7, but then the Ronnie and Ed story kind of merged with the Rovers one, so we're putting them all together into 6. Gemma, to get the storyline title for this first one, which is the Tyrone, Evelyn and Cassie storyline, you might take a while to get this one, but I tell you to put your mind back to heartwarming family movies of the 1940s.
Oh, right? Yeah, I love them. That's my favourite genre.
The storyline is Cassie come home. Think.
Cassie come home? Lassie?
Yeah, like Lassie come home. There we go. I'm not even trimming that pause because I can give the listeners time to think about that one as well.
I reckon that Evelyn would agree that Cassie is a bitch.
I think she would say that at the moment, wouldn't she? We'll do the tiepin pool storyline next, which is the Stephen stuff. Jenny's counting pennies is the Rovers story, and also that's where we're going to put.
Was that funny?
What? Jenny's counting pennies. It just
rhymes. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a rhyming one.
Right.
They don't all have to be funny. Some might say none of them have to be funny. I was also earlier when I was trying to think of. When it was a separate storyline, I was trying to think of some good ones for Ed and Ronnie. And
is that what you do? Is that your method?
What do you mean?
Are you trying to think of good ones?
Shut up. The best I could come up with Ed starting a new business was Edventure.
An adventure? See, if I was called Ed, I would say every day I was going on an adventure.
On an adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
This one, I'm not happy with this one. Oh. This one's referring to Lauren staying over at people's houses, okay?
She's still dossing in the salon.
You've heard of the excellent crime show Law and Order. How about Lauren Border? Lauren Border, yeah. And then we've got the Reject and the Stiff competition, which, I mean, it wasn't anything to do with old What's It from Rest Easy this week, but I'm sure that's going to be coming next week. So I couldn't be bothered to think of a new one. I'm going to talk the Cassie Come Home story this week, Gemma, which I thought was my favourite one of the week. Because she's back, isn't she? Well, both of them are. Cassie,
back.
Evelyn, hooray. Monday's episode was more about the Little Big Shot stuff. And there's some kind of drama drummed out of nothing particular because Glenda wants to do the show on Wednesday, but then it turns out that Kung Fu Jerry has got his... What is it? Tai Chi Awards ceremony or something there, double booked on the same day. There was some kind of weak reason why they decided they had to have...
a weak reason, but I don't particularly know why they did it. Do you think they just did it at the bistro because the set is better for doing performances?
Probably. There's probably more space. That I don't know. But anyway, Glenda's left at the end of that first scene on Monday with the new Ruby and lots of angelic children singing. Glenda's singing, "Oh no, where are we going to have our show?" So she sees.
What was the song they kept singing?
It was that.
What was it? What was it go like?
The Lizzo
one. At the end
special. You're special.
Someone to tell you that you're special. Oh my god! After that episode, you're special. That's how it went, wasn't it? I've never heard this song before. I know. Yeah, everyone's crying and upset because I don't know Lizzo songs. I know
lots of Lizzo songs.
I knew when she first came out I liked her songs, but I don't care about, everyone knows this, I don't care about individual people or bands. I just like songs.
So did you have that a bit stuck in your head?
And then,
was it a bit of an earworm,
on Wednesday, after Wednesday's big amazing performance, which I obviously thoroughly love because children singing is my favourite thing. Afterwards, all evening, all I heard in my head was, "You're special. You're special. You're special." Like children singing it because I don't know what the original sounds like. So as far as I know, it is just a children's song.
That's actually true. I've not heard the original at all.
It could just be like
I could just picture a children's choir
assembly song.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Lizzo's famous for composing children's assembly songs now. She's been kicked out of being.
Anyway,
singer.
They think maybe we should ask Councillor Maria if she can find them a place.
This was just bizarre.
It was real kind of drama out of nothing.
Felt a bit like, honestly, if you told me...
We're just clawing our way to Wednesday when the big reveal's going to happen.
If you told me that they had a different idea for what the story was supposed to be on Monday and they couldn't do it because there was a lawsuit, so they had to quickly make up another story about something completely meaningless, I would have believed you. Yeah. Because there was no reason to have an entire episode where we ended up with them doing a performance in the bistro.
Who'd have thought?
Literally anybody. You don't need Maria councillor extraordinaire.
Racking my brains. I need a venue for something.
Well, the council normally has
Can't do it at the community centre. I hear they got another storyline going on at Chariot Square, so gotta be the bistro.
I think
Gary's the genius that comes up with this idea.
Newton and Ridley can't give us their conference room, which I don't think is very fair.
So that's where they're going to do it, at the bistro, because, you know, I'm sure that any restaurant would just close down their doors for it.
Yeah.
Although they did say they were only doing it for an hour, didn't they? But I do wonder how much profit they lost during then. So they've got this funny scene at the beginning of Wednesday's episode where Hope's all gothed up, isn't she? Like, what's the song?
You better hope and pray that you make it back.
Who sings this?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Stay
that's it. Yeah, that was good. I loved Hope being all gothed up.
I think it was a good look for her. I'm wondering whether it's something that she's going to be revisiting sometime. But it was put on for
Shakespeare's Sister.
Shakespeare's Sister, of course.
Absolutely classic.
Tyrone's filming them, but he's doing it portraits. He was filming it portrait on his phone, wasn't he? And Hope saying, "No, Dad, you got to do it landscape."
No,
and it's like, hang on a minute. Since when has a child of 2023 ever filmed anything in the right way round? Which
children
is
don't know what landscape is.
The reason that they're filming it is so that they can have a video version of the song to send up to Fizz, who's still managing factories in Norfolk, and she still can't come to the show today because of reasons. Cut to Evelyn and Cassie showing up at the precinct.
Oh no! Hooray! They're back.
Cassie's moving in. She's back. She's clean, apparently,
well,
and they've gone to live in a house in the precinct, which is quite handy and coincidental.
Can I give a shout out to everybody who is a not a classic Corrie, a vintage? Can we say it that way?
I don't know what
Can
you're
we say
referring
vintage
to.
Corrie watcher is like anything 1960 up to 1979. Yeah, and then classic is 80 to.
I don't know whether it quite works that way, but go on.
Look, I'm going to do what I want.
Why are we
normal.
shouting them out?
Because anyone who's a classic vintage Corrie watcher, do you not think that this is really deep cut, the kitchen cabinets in Cassie's kitchen, Cassie/Evelyn's kitchen, looked exactly like the ones that Elsie Tanner got when she had a kitchen remodeled.
Oh yeah, you said that when we were watching, so I had no idea.
So this style is like a 70s kind of look where it's got the bottom of the cabinet is much thinner than the top, so the cabinet kind of juts out in this kind of jaunty sci-fi 70s kind of way, and then the doors slide across. But it was so distinctive. I was like,
can't say I noticed it.
There's no way that's Elsie Tanner's original cupboard, because they just wouldn't have it from that long ago. But in my head, it is.
What did you think of the new set?
I think it's very cool because it looks exactly like some kind of undecorated old council flat that's literally not been touched. Not that would ever happen.
I think they've done a good job with it. I liked how that they've got the windows that lead out to the balcony as well. The window and the doors that we see.
I was entranced.
But it is also confusing because there seems to be there's a back entrance. I don't know
how common it is for flats to have two doors, but I've never been in a flat with two front
doors. I just wonder why they would even go in it anyway, because from what we've seen of the precinct, there isn't a back entrance. You literally go into the precinct, up the stairs, and then going in through the door that we see from the outside seems like the most obvious way. I don't know why you'd take a detour to go in through the back there.
Why would you go through that way?
We're just nitpicking. I'm assuming it's something to do with they don't want to open that door because it'd be difficult to show what outside might look like. I don't know.
I'm going to say that there's either to do with the set, like they know that they're supposed to be outdoor. But the thing is, though, there are loads of other sets that are kind of like that. You just have to film it from a different angle. Or there's going to be a plot reason where somebody sneaks in through the back while somebody else is going in the front. I don't know.
But I liked it as a set, and I'm sure it's one that we're going to be seeing. Well, we're going to get used to because now the precinct has been established as a frequently visited location on Coronation Street. I think that people will be living there all the time.
Well, do you think so?
And it's probably going to be able to be used to replace any of the precinct sets in the same way that I'm sure they don't precinct sets. Yeah,
I don't know what you mean.
No, if somebody moves into one of the other precinct flats, they will probably use that set as a just
change it a little bit.
In the same way that there's one hotel set.
Oh,
one hotel bedroom
Yeah,
set.
but honestly,
I'm sure they're not all happening to stay in the same hotel room in Chariot Square.
Getting me annoyed now.
Anyway, so they're there. They've let themselves in. They're starting to unpack. Cassie is desperate to go and meet the family. She's clean now. She wants to go and see Tyrone. She wants to go and see the girls. And Evelyn's like, I think it's too soon. She wants Cassie to settle down in the place first, but she does give her 10 minutes to go out and get some cigarettes or something. I can't remember what it is. Cassie is eyeing Evelyn's purse because they've been talking about this showcase, haven't they? So I think this is the point where Cassie gets it into her head that she's going to go and sneak out and see her grandchildren. So it's later on next. Cassie's still not returned. Evelyn tries leaving her a message on her phone, looks inside her purse. She realises it's empty, so she's been nicking money. We later find out, we don't know exactly what she spent the money on, do we? Because she says that it was tickets for the showcase, but as Evelyn points out...
She said it several times.
It was free. So she's gone and spent it on something. Is it the drugs? I don't know. Does it really matter? It's something nefarious. She's dodgy. I don't know. So, show's starting at the bistro. Kids are in the back, all costumed up. Getting last minute pep talk from Glenda, who's all glammed up in her ringleader's outfit. Music starts, Glenda comes out, announces the beginning of the show, and then there's a bit of an action cam shot, isn't there? We see from Cassie's point of view, she's snuck into the back, she's got a baseball cap pulled down, and she's having a bit of a lurk around the back. So, we see the show. What more can we say? Isn't it lovely? Ruby's a bit nervous. Hope kind of helps her out, doesn't she? Which was sweet. Ruby's doesn't want to start singing, and Hope sings along with her, and then
she gets jealous when everybody claps, which I thought was lovely. I really like this power struggle between Ruby and Hope, and I hope now we've got recast Ruby, maybe they're going to give that a bit more space to develop, because
it's not anything that has that we've seen before when Macy was playing Ruby. That Hope was never jealous of Ruby then, was she?
No, they were. Yeah, well, she's tried to set fire to everything a few times because she was jealous of Hope, wasn't she? Ruby?
I don't
know that Ruby was overly aware of this rivalry. Perhaps she will come to realise that her sister is jealous of her at some point.
Maybe. So Tyrone's watching, he's got tears in his eyes, he's dead proud, so's Cassie at the back. Song finishes, rapturous applause, and then Cassie comes over to Tyrone as the crowds are dispersing, and he recognises her because she'd been at number 9 a few months ago, hadn't she?
Yeah.
And Evelyn had said that it's
her
or
friend.
she said, or Evelyn had said, I can't remember, that she's her friend Kath. And she's like, oh yeah, let's make another have a private word. She says, I've been with Evelyn, she's okay, she's been helping me through some stuff, but I've been having a bit of a hard time recently, so your nan's been helping me out with that. Tyrone's a bit confused about why Evelyn herself didn't tell him this information. But before Cassie can open up, because she's like desperate to reveal who she really is, Glenda comes over and asks them to help them out with the chairs. So
I'll tell you what, Glenda's really relieved her, because this was her job on the line.
Well, yeah, I know. They had to get out of this bistro before the hour was up.
No, I mean, now she's put on a performance there. All the parents are going, oh, brilliant, this is where my 15 quid goes every bloody week.
Do you think that this was the whole reason for the Little Big Shots? Is that story over now? Will we see any more of Little Big Shots?
It cannot be.
It seems like it was... It doesn't even... I wouldn't even say it was a big build-up, because it wasn't really, but it was a build-up to just this, and Cassie could have come back at anything. It didn't have to be this. I know,
but you didn't need to make an elaborate pyramid-looking scheme where Glenda needs to get money to start her own franchise of little... She could have just gone, oh, it's the school performance of Lizzo's greatest hits. It always gets done at the bistro.
During the summer holidays.
Why are you asking questions?
Yeah, I feel like there is more. I don't need to see, this is the thing, lots of stories and scenes of children singing acting and let's have an excuse to get all the Corrie kids together.
It's adorable, but
it's adorable but I don't...
for anyone but who aren't parents of the children that are in the thing.
Yeah, so but I am still a little bit suspicious about this whole business.
Oh, yeah.
And is it going to leave Glenda destitute?
I would be perfectly happy to have this be a story about children and what their hopes and motivations and dreams are, because when we were kids, there was no less fascination with the idea of being famous, was there? As children are now. You want to be famous, you want to be rich. But these days...
I would say there was less, but it did exist. But I think nowadays
I want to be an actor,
extreme.
I want to be a singer, there were lots of different, very normal performance and artistic jobs. But now, you can be famous just recording yourself in your bedroom. And children know this, and they are very, very excited about the idea of being YouTube or TikTok stars or anything. If this was a story about kids chasing that dream or talking about what they want to do when they grow up, and this idea that I think to a lot of adults is a bit strange. We never had this kind of ambition when we were little.
No.
We never had that opportunity to be able to connect to millions of people and earn money from it. So if it was about children wanting to be famous and the actual heartbreak and involved, because very, very few, I don't imagine that anybody on the street would end up being. But then again, imagine you could do a really cool story if Ruby or Hope, what are the pitfalls, what are the dangers, what's it like to be a parent of a child who is going online? Do you stop them? When you realise they're making actual money out of it, what do you do? Is it dangerous?
I guess it would feel quite real in that so many children today do think that they can just
become famous,
Instagram famous or YouTube famous.
I don't think they're on Instagram.
Not Instagram.
TikTok,
I don't even know.
It's TikTok and YouTube.
People wanting to be influencers.
Yeah.
And think that's natural because that's what they see all the time.
And you've got Daisy in the show who seems to have now given up on that idea because it was she was literally nearly killed, and so was Ryan. Would she say, don't do it, kids? Or would they look up to her? Or would they go, oh yeah, well, she was just silly, I wouldn't do... I think if they're actually going to do something interesting with Little Big Shots... And the thing about it is, every single person who works on Coronation Street or with Coronation Street has seen hundreds of people who are their friends and colleagues wanting that same thing for themselves, and a lot of them not making it.
Yeah.
So they can tell this story.
Mm-hmm. Could
do you
be
not think?
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Watch them just forget this ever existed, and by December.
So anyway, Evelyn comes into the bistro here. She's figured out somehow that this is where Cassie is, and she sees her, tries to drag her out before she can say anything.
Oh yeah, hang on. We're still at Little Big Shots show after show, aren't we?
Yes.
With Cassie talking to Tyrone.
Cassie ends up blurting out, "I'm your mum," and Tyrone obviously doesn't know how to take this news. He thought his mum was dead. So he storms off, realising that Evelyn's been lying to him all this time. Evelyn is absolutely furious with Cassie. And then Roy comes in as well because he wants a bit in this story. And Cassie says, "I'm Cassie, back from the grave." So Roy chases Tyrone back to number 9. Tyrone's absolutely livid about being lied to all this time. That Cassie's... It's not just... He's mad at Evelyn for not saying... For covering this up. But it's also the fact that Cassie... in his eyes, has wanted nothing to do with him for 40 years. And Roy says, well, I didn't have a great relationship with my mum for the vast majority of my life.
She was a right cow.
But then, but then Sylvia did come into the show for a little bit. And we did grow closer, and
Roy's like...
maybe there's a chance there.
Look... everyone on the show has had an estranged mum storyline where somebody famous gets cast as their mum, comes back into the show for about 2 or 3 years and then goes away. Just got to ride through it. Think about the fact
it's not completely uncommon, you're right.
Your character's going to get loads more storylines, going to be loads of dramatic scenes, you might get nominated for a few awards, you might get something out of the Conversation Street Awards. If you're unlucky, it will be bobbins. But it's
a risk.
It's getting your face out there,
risk
innit?
to take, yeah.
It's getting yourself hyped up to be in the jungle, innit, Alan?
Not confirmed yet,
Not
Gemma.
confirmed.
Or is it? No, it's not, is it?
He's a good lad, though, isn't he? He's a good lad. He's solid. He's a nice bloke.
He'd do the challenge.
He's good people.
Evelyn and Cassie get to number 9 later. Evelyn says, "Look, I'm sorry that you had to find out like this, Tyrone. I swear, I've only known about this since September, that Cassie was alive and back. I didn't know what to do for the best. But
I've lost control of this story. I don't understand. I don't know what he's lying about what anymore. Did she didn't know since September, does she?
I think that she did. I see when Cassie came into it before
Christmas.
Maybe I misheard or misunderstood or just made it up myself. It was my headcanon. Before, I watched that storyline under the impression that Evelyn had known all along that Cassie was alive, and I was like, oh, I wish that's a bit retconny to me. I wish that Evelyn hadn't known all along.
But did she think she was dead?
Well, they said she says as part of this week's episode, I'd assumed that she was because I hadn't heard from her, and I think it was maybe convenient for Evelyn to believe that her daughter was dead. She said way back 5 years ago when she came into it, oh yeah, I didn't go and see the grave. What's the point of spending hundreds of pounds on a plane ticket just to go and stand by a stick and pretend you're feeling sad for 5 minutes and then come all the way back again?
So we're supposed to believe on the one hand that Evelyn is such a compassionate, well, I don't say compassionate, but such a sort of, she feels like it's a moral obligation to try to help her daughter, but she doesn't particularly like her very much. But she feels a very strong bond, and it's her responsibility.
Absolutely.
To try to get her kid clean, off drugs. But we're also supposed to believe that she just assumed she was dead and didn't follow up at any point.
I think that everything that had happened 40 years ago took it out of Evelyn so much.
I think one thing that is worth pointing out about the storyline with Cassie and Evelyn is that it is incredibly difficult to be a family member of an addict or somebody who has got difficulties like Cassie does, and with the best will in the world, no matter how much you love them, at a certain point you do have to accept that there is nothing you can do to prevent them from hurting themselves. And it's easier really for everybody to just let it go. I mean, it's not a nice thing to say. But
it was only years after Evelyn's husband had died, so she was probably still grieving there, and she did her best, and she thought, well, I can't try any harder. She's out of my life now.
Sure that
I can't do this constantly. It's best for me to believe that she's dead, and maybe she convinced herself that she was dead.
Maybe to sort of make herself feel better because she's not suffering anymore if she's dead, which is horrible.
And I don't have to feel guilty about not trying to help her.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I completely understand that. Because you can't do anything. You can't do anything at all.
Well, Tyrone wouldn't accept it. He's not best pleased with it, with his nana still after this.
But hang on, I just want to say, there obviously are people that have managed to help their loved one, and that's brilliant. But anyone who has tried and failed is not, they would know. There's nothing. Sometimes there's just nothing.
No shame in that.
Sometimes there is nothing.
From what we can believe, and you're right, it is still a little bit murky about who is telling the whole truth, because Evelyn and Cassie's stories don't quite. And we're not going to find out. I mean, I know Corrie likes its flashbacks at the moment, but I don't think we're going to be flashing back to 1982 to find out exactly what happens there.
I think Evelyn has got a lot of integrity and a moral backbone, but I also don't think she's above fibbing.
No, absolutely. I
also
agree.
think that lots of people tell themselves lies they don't even realise are lies.
Well, Evelyn's lying to herself about her feelings about Roy, for one thing.
What a harlot.
She doesn't like to wear her heart on her sleeve, does she, when it comes to certain personal matters? Do
you think that a lot of why Evelyn is as prickly as she is because of how much Cassie has broken her heart?
Maybe, but from what Cassie was telling Tyrone in today's episode, it felt like she was always a bit of a bit of a cow in Cassie's eyes. At least she was never warm or close. As
much as I hate the idea of wishy-washy, reality is perception kind of thing, Evelyn and Cassie are both telling the truth from their perspective about their relationship. They both butted heads, and they think they each tried their best to make a go of things, and the other person was at fault, and they're kind of both right in a way.
I'm still finding Evelyn's side of the story. Sorry, we'll go back to the synopsis.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit more believable, and I don't know whether it's because I want to believe Evelyn more because I've got 5 years of Evelyn love saying Evelyn's side, pick Evelyn's side, and I don't think they're going to throw Evelyn under the bus with this story.
This is what I think.
But also, Cassie has shown a couple of dodgy looks and things that suggest that she shouldn't be completely believed. For example, I think it was in this scene that Evelyn says, look, you're saying that you wanted to be part of Tyrone's life all this time. Why you've been back in the UK for ages, why didn't you try and find Tyrone straight away? And Cassie didn't want to answer that.
And there's also the drugs.
Yeah, the drugs at the end of today's episode. Yeah. Anyway, so Cassie's just saying, yeah, I did. I'm really sorry. I'm desperate to be part of your family now. Evelyn says how Cassie would never have been able to look after him if she'd have kept him all those years ago. And Tyrone's like, well, we'll never know now, will we? So Cassie's trying to make Evelyn look like a terrible nana. But this is where she avoids the question about when she got back to the UK and why didn't she immediately start looking up Tyrone Dobbs's. Which is a very good point. That's something that's covered in today's episode, wasn't it? I think she almost kind of waves it off and says, oh, I tried, I didn't know where to start.
There are lots of things that you do or make a decision about that if somebody were to ask you to defend yourself, you would have no excuse. You wouldn't have a reason that made any particular sense that would make you look like a good person.
I mean, I would also say, if I was looking for somebody called Tyrone Dobbs and I Googled it, or Voggled it in the world of Weatherfield, I'd probably find something related to a court case 10 years ago that happened in Weatherfield when he was accused of pushing his wife down the stairs, etc., etc., or his girlfriend. His name's going to be in the papers somewhere. So I think... In universe, Tyrone probably could be found. He owns a business for heaven's sake, for one thing. And I don't think that Tyrone is that common for first name either. So I'm not buying her story there.
Okay, well, unreliable drug addict.
Yes, shocker. So Tyrone goes to the cafe to pick up the girls, and then says, "Who's that lady at the bistro earlier?" And Tyrone. He doesn't try to keep it a secret, which is nice. He says, look, it's going to come in a bit of a shock, girls, but it's me mum. They're actually quite full of questions, as I think you would be. They're surprised at first, but they want to know all about her because they've just acquired a new grandma, in their eyes. And Ruby says, oh, you could have brothers and sisters and everything. And that's like, oh, yeah, I hadn't even considered this. But... Tyrone's family has just extended and extended and extended over the years, and this is obviously the massive retcon in his family history. But do you think that they might do that? Would it have been brought up? Would Cassie have mentioned by this point, by the way, you've got a brother, or could it just be a case of she didn't say he didn't have a brother, and then 2 years in the future, in comes Dominic Monaghan, who is my personal pick of playing Tyrone's brother, saying, "Hey,
Charlie from Lost."
And also
from Lord of the Rings,
and also Hetty Wainthropp investigates.
Oh yes, I loved him in that.
Well, I think that those two had scenes in Hetty Wainthropp together. I think they were both in it.
Anyway,
that's my pick.
This is
I
Corey's...
just want I just want him to have some kind of part on Corey, and why not that?
Corey's just got a bunch of these trump cards somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah.
What about Tyrone's brother?
Anyway, Tyrone comes back to the house and says, "Look, Cassie, does he say it's not time for you to meet the girls yet?" I think.
Yeah, go away.
And he says, "Look, I think." You better go. I'm not ready to deal with this at the moment.
I've suddenly got a mum.
Yes. She says, yeah, okay, I understand. I'm going to go and give you some space. And Evelyn's left with Tyrone, and he tells her, and you can sling your up too, Nana. So she does. Slopes out at the end of the episode.
I kind of don't want Tyrone to get hurt here, but it seems inevitable.
A bit too late.
No, what I'm trying to say is, I want vindication for Evelyn, because I want Cassie to let Tyrone down so that he can really understand what it was that Evelyn had gone through and why she was so keen to protect him and his family.
Evelyn wouldn't have abandoned him on that police station steps without a very good reason. And you're right, I think he needs to be...
And she wouldn't have abandoned
that he's
Cassie.
always had his best interests at heart.
She wouldn't have abandoned Cassie if it literally... There was nothing she could do except watch her daughter die, you know?
Yeah. Well, she didn't even abandon Cassie. Well, Cassie's the one that
very
went off
confusing.
to South America with a druggy boyfriend. South Africa, sorry. With a druggy boyfriend.
It's a similar shape.
And like we said earlier, I think by that time, Evelyn had been working for... I can't remember what the time scale was supposed to be, 18 months or so, trying to get her clean, and she was just exhausted. I mean, the thing is,
Makes me feel tired just thinking about
when I picture Evelyn trying to get Cassie clean back in the 80s, I still picture like 70-year-old Evelyn doing it.
Yeah, I know, me too.
And not somebody who was, in her early 30s and not,
You need to picture Ology.
Yeah, exactly. Ology Lippman doing this.
Can you imagine her helping her drug addict? Oh, he's got an ology. My daughter's a drug addict. Don't talk to me about it.
Anyway, so Friday's episode, Dobbs are going off to see Fizz today. Tyrone's rushing around the kitchen, trying to put a stop to any questions the girls have got about Grandma Cass. I really hope that it's not too long before Fizz comes back into the programme. I've got no idea. We still haven't had any news about Jenny McAlpine's baby, which she has surely had by this point. I hope it's going to be in the next couple of months at least that she'll return, because Norfolk doesn't need Fizz. Weatherfield needs her, and I just want to see her part, what she's going to add to all of this family chaos.
I know this was obviously like Fizz not being in it was not like, let's make Jenny McAlpine pregnant so she won't be in the show. It wasn't planned that way, but I kind of am glad that Fizz isn't in it, because I think it pares the story down a bit. I don't need everybody reacting to everything. I don't need Tyrone chatting to Fizz about it. I think it's very nice and streamlined at the moment. It
is streamlined. I mean, they've added the extra wrinkle of Kevin and Abby in today's episode.
But I can
just whenever Fizz is away, whenever anyone's away on maternity, I just can't help thinking they're just there because the actress is on maternity. Let's get back to the status quo. And
yeah, well, I'm okay with it because I like Fizz. I think she's a great character. Tyrone and Fizz have great scenes. That epic scene they did.
Yeah, at the beginning of the Alina story.
Yeah, was fantastic. They have so much blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? But I cannot see a role for Fizz in this apart from standing there with a tea towel in her hand, going, "Oh, dear."
The question would be, if Fizz was here, would she be supportive of Tyrone inviting Cassie to stay?
Yeah, but I think
probably for drama's sake, she would say, "No, I'm not having this drug addict mum of yours coming to live in the same house as my hope."
Changes the conversation, which I don't really want it to. I want it to focus a bit, which it's doing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so over at the precinct flat, Evelyn and Cass are still at each other's throats about the whole situation. Evelyn completely at her wit's end at this point. And she says, "Oh, I'm going out and to try and mop up your mess, lady."
These two characters are such a fantastic study of two people who are so caught up in their history and their relationship with each other, they cannot see the wood for the trees, can they?
No.
They're just obsessed with each other and all the things they've done wrong to each other.
But it's... Whenever they talk about it, it seems completely believable to me that it happened.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
In part of the back of my head, I'm saying, "Oh, this is a little retconning thing." But mostly, I'm invested in saying I can completely believe.
This is totally plausible.
And it's partly down, I'm going to say, to the quality of the performances from both Maureen and Claire. They're doing such a great job of making a believable mother and daughter relationship. She's just been, how many episodes in total has she been in at the moment? Cassie, like 3 episodes?
Yeah.
And already I completely and utterly believe that she is her daughter, and I can feel the history that the two of them have had together and the lack of history over the last 40 years.
I also think it's great too because we've had this background as viewers of everything that Abby went through and seeing how she was when she was an addict and how she struggled, and we sympathise with her. And I think that's a bit built in with Cassie because she's got a similar appearance and she's also very charismatic as an actress. And so these scenes where it feels like we were primed as viewers.
Yeah, it's like we've got a reference.
Yeah.
We've seen Abby going through this. We've seen all the terrible things that Abby has done as a mum. But we also know that she has been able to get through it, and she's got a good heart under there.
Yeah.
Does Cassie have the good heart?
And
or are we supposed to be saying, oh yeah, Abby's nice underneath, I'm sure Cassie is too, and actually they're going to pull the rug out from underneath us, and she will actually just be a unsalvageable druggie.
Yeah, I think this is
I don't know at this point where it's going to go.
It's a combination of great scenario, great performances, and good writing.
I mean, I'm all in favour of keeping in the creme de la creme of acting talent on Coronation Street as long as possible. Claire Sweeney.
Oh yeah, me too. I've always said good actors,
obviously, a very well loved, renowned, and appreciated actress, well-respected actress. So yeah, keep her in. But in order for her to be captain, she's going to have to go through some kind of softening and redemption arc. And then partly in my head I'm thinking, oh, is it another one of these? You know, we're already getting it with Lauren in the other story.
Oh, don't get me started.
But it's interesting to compare the two, isn't it? And how invested we are in one of them versus the other at the moment.
Yeah, but Cassie doesn't take drugs because she thinks white people are better than everyone else. Well, I assume not.
So anyway, Kevin gets a Tyrone call.
A Tyrone call.
A phone call from Tyrone saying, girls are upset, I'm going to come into work late today. Doesn't say why. But then Nina kind of comes over and accidentally reveals more than she should about the situation because she knows that Cassie's back. She's like, oh, you need to talk to Tyrone about what's going on here.
Kevin and Abby are having rants and bants, aren't they?
They're ranting and banting away there, yeah. Happy to see Abby back again. A rare sighting of Abby.
Well, she was in it the week before, wasn't she? Because Evelyn, or whenever it was, and Evelyn's like, how do you get off the smack?
Oh yeah, she was. When was that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that was a few. I don't get what's happening.
She bobbed in for a few hours' work.
I don't understand why Abby has gone from I'm in it all the time, I don't get a break, to it's been over a year now.
Corrie doesn't feel able to do one or the other. You know, I can't do it doesn't seem to be able to do a balance. You're either in it all the time, or no one remembers you're in it.
I just don't know. But at least with this story, I'm hoping, my fingers are really, really tightly crossed here, that this is the beginning of Abby getting back on track and, you know, back on the treadmill of becoming a regular sight. Because, speaking about the best actresses on Coronation Street, this is the character that we should be having there all the time. And I'm sure that she's going to add many layers to this story if they can give her a chance. We'll talk more about this with Abby later, I guess. So anyway, Tyrone's peed off at work later. Kevin and Abby are trying to get him to engage in conversation about what is the Queen of Crisps.
Prawn cocktail or...
It was salt and vinegar or prawn cocktail, wasn't it? And there's that's an odd choice.
Well, of course it is.
Who's got prawn cocktail as the second?
I'm going to say, if you think prawn cocktail are the best crisps, you at least have the decency and self-awareness to understand that this is not a common opinion. But it's totally in Kev's character to be like, well, obviously.
But do you really believe that Kevin's probably too embarrassed to eat prawn cocktail crisps because they're in a pink packet?
Do you reckon?
Yes, I totally do. It was funny in a way, and I liked Abby's delivery of prawn cocktail.
It doesn't taste like prawn cocktail.
I don't really, but maybe it's just because, you know, Kevin's a lad of the 80s, and back in the 80s, prawn cocktail was the exotic thing, and he just kept on to that.
I'm running a poll, and at the moment, salt and vinegar is winning over prawn cocktail, but I also put in ready salted and posh, just for Ardy.
There's that Ardy's that's voted for that one.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna step back and not take your own personal preference into this, and you were gonna pick out the best crisp flavours to pit against each other,
right?
You'd say,
well, the three big classics.
Yeah, ready salted, cheese and onion, and plain.
No, they're the same.
What? Ready salted? Salt and vinegar. Sorry, salt and vinegar. Ready salted, cheese and onion.
Yeah.
I hate cheese and onion crisps, but I wouldn't if I was making a crisp poll.
You'd have to add it.
I'm not going to say, oh, is it ready salted or smoky bacon?
Is there a fourth flavour? Is there a fourth flavour? Because those are the three. I know everyone's fascinated by this. Is there a
Just a little
is there a
insight
fourth?
into British crisp culture here.
Yeah.
I thought that when she started talking about crisps, I thought she was going to go down the debate of salt and vinegar crisp, Tyrone, green packet or blue packet.
Yeah, what do you think? Salt and vinegar's blue, isn't it?
No, I say green.
No, you're wrong though. Because
because
cheese and onion is green, because onions, like spring onions, are green.
I know, I totally get it. But Walker's,
Well,
being the
don't seem
main
to get
crisp brand in the UK, having had green as the salt and vinegar flavour colour for all this time.
That's ignorance.
No. Anyway.
Would you like to know what Britain's top 5 favourite? I know. Sorry.
Yes, I would love to know.
Right.
I'm actually quite interested. I don't know whether our listeners want to know, but I'd be quite.
Prawn cocktail's 16th place, apparently.
Well, Kevin,
Right.
put that in your tash.
This is just an overall.
Smoke
Put it in your tash and smoke it.
I started off with the one there, and I didn't know where it was going.
Right, so this is from Insights Agency Perspective Global, from a survey based on 2,000 Britons. Where'd it go?
Go from 5 to 1, please.
5 to 1. It's disappeared.
Oh my
There's
God,
a picture
you
of a
can talk
lady.
about Can
Right,
I just-
listen. Can you listen?
Yes.
You're holding everyone up here. Right. Walker's Ready Salted at number 5.
Yeah.
Pringles Original at number 4. Walker's.
They're just the same as
Will
ready
you listen?
salted.
Will you listen? It's not the same. Everyone knows that Pringles and crisps are different.
Okay, carry on.
Walker's Salt and Vinegar at number 3. Number 2. Now this is going to be controversial. Beef flavoured Monster Munch.
What a
Okay, listen.
stupid.
What do you think number 1 is?
Cheese and onion, probably.
Yeah.
Rubbish. Utter rubbish. Cheese
Yeah.
and onion. That's a dad flavoured crisp right there.
It's a dad flavour crisp.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Cheese and onion is what dads like. Just like pistachio ice cream. I ban them all together.
Do you know what I really like, and I haven't had for about 20 years? Nice and spicy knickknacks.
Oh, they are nice.
So
They're good, aren't they?
it's sick.
Anyway, back to Coronation Street. Cut for Canada if we had that on the podcast. Actually, Canadians are probably the ones that'd be interested in hearing
Like,
about our crisp
how
flavours.
fascinating.
It's our dear British viewers. It's like, shut up. Right. He didn't want anything to know, Tyrone, about this crisp discussion. He's like most.
He's
of
like
you
everybody
listeners,
listening,
I'm
going, shut up.
sure. So he
You're
says,
not as interesting as you think you are.
Evelyn comes over saying, look, I just want to say sorry for everything that's happened. He's like, no, I don't want to hear from you, Nan. She says, I just didn't want Cassie tainting your life. She's ruined my life. She killed your granddad. And I stand by my decision to keep quiet about her being alive. She tries to give him a piece of paper with Cassie's address on, but he doesn't want to know. But he clearly takes it anyway because he finds the address. He manages to find the precinct easy enough later on that episode.
Well, I mean, it's just there. It's
Yeah.
around the corner. It's been there the whole time.
Evelyn's speaking to Roy later in the episode because he's seen that Hope and Ruby, who have been very, very slowly drinking milkshakes throughout the episode, are a bit down in the dumps
This
about
is
the
what
whole
you do
situation.
during the summer holidays when you've got to make your pocket money last.
And he says, look, what you've done is really bumming the girls out. Can you see? And he kind of has the chat with her about, yeah, you apologise to Tyrone, but you know what you're like, Evelyn. Can you see that maybe it wouldn't have seemed genuine? She realises he's still holding a bit of a grudge about when she opened his letter a couple of months ago. And he kind of says, no, we're not talking about that at the moment. You need to reconsider the way you treat other people that you claim to care about. And I thought that was a great line. And absolutely true for Evelyn as well, I'm going to say. Roy astute as always.
He is, yeah.
So, but the thing is, she does care. Evelyn is very, very caring, isn't she? She's got
too much.
She's got so much love in her heart for her
don't
family.
know.
But she doesn't like to show it. She
think
doesn't
it's
like.
tough love.
I think that she thinks it's absolutely
There's
tough
a certain
love.
kind of like hard-heartedness that you have to have sometimes. Like, not hard-heartedness, but yeah, tough. It's not tough love, but that's the nearest thing I can think of. Like, doing hard things for people that you love, that you don't like, but it's for someone else's benefit.
Yeah, I think that she would crawl over broken glass for Tyrone and the girls, and probably even Fizz at the moment. But she wouldn't like them to know that she would
had
do
done it,
that.
yeah.
And absolutely, tough love. She will tell people. She won't pussyfoot around things. And if somebody in her family or a friend or whoever needs to be told a few home truths, she will absolutely do it if she thinks it's the right thing, and that's what's got her into this mess here at the moment. I love Evelyn, I think she's great. So, where did I get to? So in the pub later, Tyrone's with Abby and Kevin, telling them all about Cassie being back, how Evelyn's been Oh, and then Abby says, "Oh yeah, Evelyn asked me about, a while ago about how she's managed to stay clean. I wondered what this was about." And Tyrone says, "Look, I'm still not sure about Cassie. She never tried to contact me all this time, 40 years. She could have tried to get in touch with me. Not heard a dicky bird." But Abby says, "You're right. You need to be careful. I know what addicts are like, having been one myself. If you're thinking of bringing a recovering addict to the girl's house, you need to really know what you're doing. Be careful." And what's the message that Tyrone takes from that? I'm going to go and invite my mum back to live at home, but I'm going to ship the girls off to Fizz. So Evelyn gets back home. Cassie's been trying to make amends by cleaning up, but Evelyn sees right through it. And then Tyrone shows up. He wants to have a word with Cassie and not Evelyn. And that was quite gutting for Evelyn that she gets sent on her way. Cassie, on the other hand, though, looks well pleased with herself. She says, "Oh, Tyrone, thank you for hearing me out. Oh, I'm really sorry for not being honest with you the other month." And she starts, and I don't is this story true? When she's talking about her ex-boyfriend in South America, oh my gosh, South Africa, is really controlling.
It's because one of the classrooms in your school is called South America.
It is.
And so South America...
It rolls off the tongue more easily.
Yeah.
That's my class, is South America class at the moment.
I was trying to be...
I've identified.
I was trying to not give identifying marks.
Well. Yeah, and I'm like, is that true? I don't know whether it is. I don't know whether I believe that. But because Claire Sweeney is putting such a great performance on this, that to me was then conveyed through Cassie's was it a performance in Tyrone. I don't know whether to believe this or not. But she says he wouldn't let me try and contact anyone. I couldn't do anything. And Tyrone says, "Was he my dad?" And she's like, "Nope, I don't know who my dad was."
Who your dad was.
And again, a little bit shifty.
I think we might find out that she does know. But at the moment, it's one of these things I said before about Coronation Street being very reticent to give too many background details to a character when they don't need to, because they're going to keep that in their back pocket then, that maybe Tyrone's dad at some point will turn up.
We saw, I showed you the best one that I found on that somebody posted on Twitter earlier on this evening, a picture of Terry Duckworth.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey Tyrone, I'm your dad."
Can you imagine?
Like, the time could... That could actually work.
I know.
Terry is old enough to be Tyrone's dad. But just if they did that, right, and the way that I think that would be fantastic. I'm not expecting Nigel Pivaro to be coming back to Coronation Street anytime soon. But those two have had this mega antagonistic on and off relationship for years now, haven't they? We've seen how Terry has treated his other son Tommy and how he sold him to the Hortons, and I wouldn't say that Terry knew none of this is going to happen. I don't think in the slightest, but it would the dynamics there. Tyrone hates Terry hates Tyrone, but what it would mean is that Tyrone is a Duckworth. And that would just, to me, be such lovely closure for this, because Jack and Vera always said, Tyrone's more of a son to us than that Terry ever was. I think it would just be nice. But wouldn't it be
bittersweet to know that they went to their graves not knowing that they had done something right? Because they always, you know that...
but think of the scene. Think of the scene where Tyrone goes to Jack and Vera's grave and says,
no.
"Oh, you're my gran and granddad, I knew it all along."
Oh my God, my heart's broken.
Gosh. Oh, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to invest in that theory because it was just somebody putting a silly tweet out, not seriously suggesting it.
Too on the nose. You can't.
Sorry. The amount of times that people have on Coronation Street turned out to actually be related to someone, it is ridiculous now. Why not just add another one to the mix? I don't know. Anyway, so she's possibly spinning this tale about the reason why she wasn't able to contact him. This is when she says, "I came back and I moved to Bristol." Was it Bristol that she stayed in?
I think she did.
She did. Home of Nicola and Zach at the moment. So
lovely.
Maybe. And Tyrone's like, "No, I don't buy this. He wants proper answers." So this is when she then opens up or lies more about her bad upbringing, saying, oh...
You say bad acting. That's not true. I thought you were going to say bad acting.
No, bad upbringing.
Yes.
She's like, oh, so I was such an anxious, sensitive, lonely child.
Fake. You got
Wet the
sisters and
bed
brothers.
until I was 10 years old. And then we moved from... I'm not going to do the voice.
No, you don't do it anymore, please.
Moved from... the voices are your domain at the moment, aren't they? Stephen Reed, and who else were you doing?
I do everybody. I can do anyone.
Moved from Liverpool to Manchester, got bullied at school, but Evelyn didn't want anything to do with it. She told me once, what did she say? Just ignore it or something, and then
Stand up for yourself.
so I didn't tell
She
her
said stand
again.
up for yourself.
Oh yeah,
that is
stand
exactly
up for
the
yourself.
sort of thing I can imagine Evelyn saying.
I totally can as well.
Well, maybe you should have done. How do you think of that, Cassie? Maybe you should have told him to just do one.
But it's funny because even though I'd say Evelyn is very, very caring of her family members, I don't think that's uncaring advice. If Evelyn did say that, I think it's her telling her again a home truth. No, you do need to stand up for yourself because
it would work, and
because
sometimes
that's what
it wouldn't. That's
because
all I'm gonna say.
I think Evelyn would put herself in the shoes of someone being bullied.
I
Say, well, I would stand up for
Yeah.
myself if I was in this position. So should you.
Yeah, it obviously does not help very often, but
No, and this was in the 70s and.
it was nothing unusual or unlike what any other parent in that era would have said.
No.
Just a bit hit him back.
Yeah.
Even when we were kids, parents would be like, just hit him back. What are you coming to me with this?
Exactly.
I can't hit a 12-year-old.
So Cassie
You're gonna have
says,
to do it.
well, Mum didn't want to help me, so I didn't tell her that again. Then when I was 12, I discovered booze. That helped take the edge off it. By 15, I was a smackhead. Then my dad died. Evelyn blamed me. And she actually... she says my mum spat in my face.
I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know whether I believe that.
Maybe she said something so vehemently that a bit of spit came out of her mouth.
See, this...
And then Cassie
And
thought...
I don't know, I'm probably looking into this a little bit more bit too deeply, but that line about her spitting it in her face is the thing that makes me think, maybe this isn't true. Because I don't think that she would do this, but I don't know.
I can't imagine ever doing that to my child, and I don't think that Evelyn would.
No. But, Evelyn
do
was
that.
probably a very different person 40 years ago as well.
Although
She
everyone
was a bit of a spitter
Michael.
back then.
I was completely different. I was spitting all the time when I was 40 years ago.
Anyway, Evelyn says, Cassie said that Evelyn said, you killed him, I'll never forgive you. Then she ended back in Liverpool in squats on the streets. Then she found out she was pregnant, tried to get off the drugs but couldn't. She basically retells the story the way we kind of had already accepted it by this point. Tyrone doesn't believe she even tried to get clean, but she says, no, I was trying my best. You think that I didn't try to get clean, Tyrone, because that's what Evelyn told you, because she wanted you to hate me. And even last Christmas, when I was clean, Evelyn still wouldn't even tell you about me, did she? And now, though, I'm in your life, you're part of my life, son, and I've got a reason to stay clean. Please don't let my mother ruin it, because she'll try. A great scene there, loved it. So Evelyn comes back to the flat later and is quite surprised to find out that Tyrone has invited Cassie to stay at number 9. He's not going to go and, if I was Fizz, I'd be right peed off by this. She hasn't seen her husband in, how long has she been away now? 2 months, 3 months? And now he's saying, actually, love, I'm not going to come and see you. I'm just going to ship the girls off to you. If you can look after them and still work at the same time as
during the holidays.
as a factory supervisor, can't you? And he's going to stay, and I'm just going to stay there and look after my mum. I know it would have been probably completely impossible, but I'd have liked to have maybe had a video call with Fizz at this point, because we did have one, didn't we? After Fizz left. I don't think it was long after she left.
I know that it's so much more difficult than just getting a phone and doing a video, but it doesn't feel like it should be. I know it is.
If you're on maternity leave,
I know it is.
You're on maternity leave.
Yes, I
it
know
would be.
it's
It
not
would
like
have been
that.
wrong, I think, for Coronation Street to have said, "Oh, I know, Jenny, you said you."
yes, it's
but
illegal.
I would have liked to
It's
have
illegal.
seen it. I'd have liked to have seen it. Just AI it anyway. It only has to appear on a little screen, doesn't it? Evelyn says, "Look, I was just trying to protect you." This is what she said all along. And it was, you're making a big mistake here, Tyrone. And he says, no, sorry, Nana, I just can't trust you to tell me the truth anymore. So he goes back to Coronation Street, finds the girls in the cafe, says, "Oh, you're going up to Norfolk, I'm staying here." They're a little bit miffed because they want to get to know their new nana.
One thing I really liked about this...
They will in time.
...was Hope going, she owes us so many birthday and Christmas presents.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
I missed that
I
completely.
remember that at some point there was some kind of estranged relative or somebody that was like in my family or a friend of my parents or some kind of significant person to me, and I hadn't seen them for many, many years. And I remember doing this as well, going, now, how many birthdays and Christmases have they missed, and how much would they have given me? And that means they owe me £100. And my parents were like, no, you psychopath. But I love Hope. She's saying it. Yeah. She said she's going to get Sam to work out the maths for her.
I totally missed that line. That feels like, I think it's a bit of a cliche line, to be honest. Having a long lost family coming back and somebody saying...
That's what kids do.
I know. Tyrone helps the girl get into the car.
Sorry, children. You're such a cliche. You're learning how to ride a bike and everything.
Kevin spies that Cassie's in the house, and he doesn't look too happy about this because he was sitting next to Abby earlier when she was recommending that this probably isn't the best course of action for Tyrone at this point in time, but nothing else happens there. Abby wasn't there, was she? So she still hasn't been introduced to Cassie yet. That's still to come. And then Cassie moves in. They have a little thing about, don't you really know? You don't even know whether you have sugar in your tea.
This was such a stupid idea.
I know.
Just invite a woman that you don't even know
asking
to live with
for
you.
Disaster, Tyrone. But he's such a
idiot.
No, he's such a kind-hearted and
Michael,
gullible.
I'm gonna say those two things sometimes go hand in hand in quite disastrous fashion.
I know, but I totally see that Tyrone probably would. He is a softie, isn't he? As much as he likes to act
This is
hard.
why I say when the phrase "be kind" is the most dangerous in modern history. Don't be kind. Look after yourself. Put yourself first.
So Roy goes to see Evelyn later at is he at the flat this in? I can't remember. He says, "Look, I know why you acted the way you did. I want to help you." She says that I'm convinced Cassie's using again. Don't know why, but I don't trust her at the moment. She's taking advantage of Tyrone. She's trying to get off the drugs and live a normal life, but she's never going to change. And Roy's like, you never know, maybe this time it'll be different. But no, it is not, because the final scene that we see in this story this week is Tyrone and Cassie at the dinner table, and she has a little look inside her bag, and she's got some prega blah 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 blah. What is it?
Prega.
It sounds like a pregnancy thing, but it's like pregablin.
Preglablin.
That's what she got addicted to before, and she still got some.
Pregbalin.
So,
Pregballin sounds like when you're pregnant and you go and buy yourself loads of really cool maternity outfits.
you reckon?
Pregballin.
So, what are we going to have happen here then? I hope this story carries on into next week. It felt a little bit like they reached a stage where they could rest it for a while, and then we come back, a week or two's time and find out how they're getting on. But there's only been 2 days this week that Evelyn and Cassie have been back. I was actually really surprised that they came back so soon. I was expecting maybe September return. So it was I knew going into this week because I'd seen pictures that they were going to be back. But when I saw those pictures, it was a big pleasant surprise for me.
Like that.
No, it was just like that.
I've said I really enjoyed this story. And I think it is brilliant. I think it's great, and I've said many nice things about it already that I think are all true. But when I think about where this is going in the immediate future, I can't help but kind of go, oh.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, he's gonna find the pills in her bag, and she's gonna say, oh, I need them because I'm pregballing. You're going to have a brother.
Yeah, I can imagine if he finds the pills and saying, Mum, are you pregnant?
Yeah. Like, the immediate future just feels like it's kind of can see where it's going. Like, he's going to realise this. I don't know this woman at all. He's going to kick her out, isn't he? And then Evelyn's going to come and smug all over everything. And then she's going to take Cassie back in the flat, and then they're going to have a conversation about how stupid Cassie is and how brilliant Evelyn is. And then Cassie's going to say that it is Evelyn's fault. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly. The thing that one of the things that I'm most interested in with this one is finding out how Abby is going to be involved, because surely it's going to be more than just a recommendation that Tyrone shouldn't, be trusting of her. I want to see Abby have a confrontation with Cassie in an alley or something, and then say, "Look, I know your type because I used to be one of them. What's your game?"
That would be quite fun.
And I'd quite like Abby to.
Proper redemption for Abby, then.
She didn't need him for. She didn't need.
No, all right.
I need her to do some investigating, and maybe she be the one that helps Tyrone to see what his mum's really like.
That's one of my favourites.
I've also got the little idea in my mind, and again, like the Terry Duckworth thing, I don't think this is going to happen. That maybe Abby and Cassie's paths have crossed in the past. Could they know each other from? Because I've lost track a little bit. Abby did go to drugs clinic-y place or something, didn't she? After
rehab.
Rehab. Could she have seen that? I know it'd be a massive coincidence, but we're used to those, and that's just how the world.
Tyrone is actually the son of Terry Duckworth. So yeah,
coincidences is how the world turns round at the moment. So
on Corrie.
On Corrie, so I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Right, I think we've talked this to death.
I'm just loving it. I'm just so happy that they're all back, and it's almost I'm kind of. You say that you're glad that Fizz isn't in it. I think in a way I'm glad that the girls have been shipped off, because if anyone's not really needed in this story, it's them.
True.
Do you buy that Cassie wants to reconnect with her family?
Yeah.
Or is she just trying to get something? Is she trying to fleece them or something?
You can want two things at once that conflict with each other, and I'm sure this is what Cassie's... And she thinks she can have both of them at the moment, but she's going to find out she can't. She thinks she can keep taking these drugs, and she's got a handle on it now. She knows what she did wrong before. This time it's going to be different. She's going to keep it under wraps. She's going to keep it under control, and she's going to get her family back. That's what she thinks is going to happen.
The look that she gave during the Little Big Shots concert when she was really proud of Ruby and Hope, that felt very genuine.
Because a lot of people view children or grandchildren as a second chance at life, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, they're living vicariously, like, okay, maybe I screwed up, but look at this. This is what my genes can do. There must be something of me in these kids, even though only one of them's related to me. But she's thinking, this is redemption. Maybe it'll be different, I never got a chance with my son. This is my chance. Now I'm clean too, even though I'm still using, but it's in a different way now. It's more it's under control, so I don't need to worry about it. Everything's going to be cool.
Okay, well, we will see. We will see. Speaking of nefarious types, though, Gemma, the Stephen storyline, I'll pass over this one to you.
Thank you very much. On Monday, Peter is still panicking about the fact that he's nicked this watch.
Nicked, sold, and now it's under investigation.
It's gone. Yeah. Carla tells Stephen that Lou's coming to the office because she wants to see the business running. I never ever use Underworld as a demonstration for how to do business correctly. There's just a bunch of maniacs running around.
Well, she was impressed when she came and had a look.
That's because she went there on the one day that they weren't near bankruptcy. So anyway, when they have this meeting with Carla and Stephen, Lou's listening, but she's like, look, sorry, I'm a bit distracted at the moment because I've got this tie-pin just keeps going round in my head. Why would Rufus have this tie-pin with this engraving in it? It's really weird. And I just can't get it out of my head. So I've asked the police to look at it, and they said that they will. So Carla's like, look, come and look around, look at all our knickers. And they leave Stephen there, who takes her hotel card, because he's got this plan, obviously, to go and take the tie-pin from her room. Meanwhile, Peter's on the phone to the jewellers because they sold this watch. I don't think it was a jeweller's, I think it was a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And Stephen hears Peter on the phone about this and comes over. He's overheard this and he realises what's happened. he says, "Oh, what a coincidence. Lou's husband also had a gold watch that went missing." He puts it all together. He somehow has got this amazing memory of February or whenever it was, when Peter was being shady, and he's like, "I remember you asked for Rufus's phone number around the time that the watch went missing." Like okay, you've got a brilliant memory, just like Elaine had for what Gabrielle looked like from seeing her for like 3 seconds on a screen. And he realises, he's like, "You stole the watch, didn't you?" And Peter just admits it. He says, "Look, he was an arsehole, so I stole his watch and sold it. And then I used the money for Carla's rehab." And, oh no, what was it? It was not rehab, it was mental health.
Yeah.
Inpatient thing. So Stephen says, "Look, it's just a mistake." We've all made mistakes, believe it or not. And he says, "Look, don't tell Lou straight away." And Peter's grateful for how calm he is, considering how big stakes this is. Peter doesn't really ever say anything like, "Well, Stephen told me not to tell Lou," because I think I would bring that up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He somehow forgets it's happened.
Mm.
So I'm just taking a drink. Inside the factory, Lou is saying, "Oh, Carla, I can see why you're everyone's favourite character. Thank you for showing me about how great you are at business. You're so good at it. Why would you want to leave this utopia where you're in charge of everybody and people make you tea?" And Carla says, "Oh, I just want a change in life. But maybe I don't want to change anymore. Maybe I want to stay here forever." And then Peter just walks in. She doesn't even say that. She says something like, maybe I'm having second thoughts. And Peter walks in and goes, oh, you're having second thoughts now. I can't believe this. And goes off in a huff.
I know. I thought that was a mega overreaction from
I don't
him.
think Peter would say this. He's a lot more chilled out than this. I didn't think this worked very well.
I think he's thinking about Carla's mental health, and he saw what running the factory, what state it left her in only a few months ago. But flying off the handle the way that he did, I think was a little bit.
Yeah, that's how you support somebody with mental health issues. You go, "You can't cope. I'm gonna leave you. You can't do this."
Indeed.
Always very helpful. Stephen lets himself into the hotel room with this key to try to find the tiepin. So Peter sits Carla down and says, Why are you saying this now? We had this plan. You're going to sell the factory and we are going to get a boat and go to Taiwan." I don't know what the plan is. And she says, I just feel like I believe in myself more. And you are the one who said I should quit. I didn't want to quit. And things start getting very tense. And then she starts asking him about the watch again. And this is when he has to admit to her that it's been already sold. And that she's the one that stopped him from telling Lou. And Carla gets really frustrated with this and says, "Look, I think Stephen's the only person I trust at the moment." Meanwhile, cut to Stephen. He's trying to nick the tiepin. He finds it in a jewellery box inside Lou's hotel room. But before he can leave the room, the door starts to open. And this was a good cliffhanger. I thought it was just going to be a cleaner. But it turned out it was Jules, Lou's son. He comes in and puts his headphones in, gets his phone out and starts playing Kirby.
Oh, yeah. They use the generic video game music, which always drives me nuts because it's been like 20 years that they've used this sound from the Kirby game on the Game Boy for just standing for any handheld game, but anyway.
What can you do?
That's along the same line of crisps, and I probably don't want to be talking about it right now.
No, probably not. So, Stephen runs and hides in the bathroom. Oh yeah, I already said that. So Jules is sitting there on the edge of the bed. He's engrossed in his game with his headphones on. He can't hear anything. And Stephen slips out and bumps into Lou. Not the Lou, a Lou. And he says, "Oh, I just came to see you." Now I've seen some people on Twitter complaining that there's no way that Kirby Jules wouldn't know that somebody was in the room with him. I'm telling you, how many times have you like crept up to me, not even creeping up on me. I've got my headphones in.
Gemma is
you
very,
come right
very
up
jumpy.
to me and I like shriek and hit you.
Yes.
I am always in my own world, and you can creep up on me quite easily. Please don't do that though, because I don't want to be murdered. So he says that he wanted to see her, so they go inside the room. But that I can't remember what happens there. We cut to Carla and Peter. Oh yeah, he tells her about the watch, because the next thing we see, Carla and Peter are leaving the factory, and Lou storms over, going, "I know all about the watch. Stephen told me." So they all go inside, and she's like, "Why did you steal the watch?" And Peter says, "I was feeling greedy, and Rufus, I thought he had it coming, to be honest." And then Lou gets all high and mighty, and she's like, "Rufus was many things, but he wasn't a thief." Lou needs to be reminded that he was a drug addict that also overdosed, even though, you know, in reality he was drugged, but he overdosed before, like you pointed out quite rightly. He's done it by himself, by accident.
Yeah.
Before, so he wasn't a thief. So, you know, so what? He was still a horrible person. She's mad at Carla. She's like, "Why didn't you tell me about this? Why did I find out from Stephen?" And then she says, "I'll honour this current contract, but after this, you're dead to me." And she storms off, and Carla's like, "You've cost me a mate." She gets really annoyed about this. She's made a fantasy of this friendship that she's got with Lou.
Barely known Lou.
And she's like,
5 minutes, and now she's saying, "Oh,
me and Lou were going to be business buddies. We were going to get boss babe manicures and talk about contracts with each other. And now you've ruined it. I haven't got any friends except for Roy." So she storms off. Then Stephen gets an angry message from Carla going, "We need to talk." Peter and Carla meet up with Stephen in the pub, and they're having a go at him, saying, "You've lost us, our biggest client. I can't rely on you. I've got the sales off. I'm staying at Underworld. I can't deal with this." And then she goes back to the flat with Peter, and she says, "I don't have a choice. I've got to pay back Lou for this bloody watch that you stole, and I'm not getting rid of Stephen because I can't rock the boat here." That seemed like a bit of a weird reason. I would have fired him ages ago. You can't trust this man. But she seems to think she needs him. And then outside, Stephen's like, "Doobie doobie doo," a bit like David Cameron after Brexit when he resigned. "Doo doo 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 doo, not my problem anymore. Bye everyone." He drops the tiepin down the drain. Problem solved. Yeah. I think that's the last we're ever going to see of the tiepin. Although I did say maybe Sean might someday get into detectoring and get a little metal detector.
There's no way that tiepin can ever be found. I know that, you know, when we had the gun washed down the drain during Coronation Street, it very conveniently popped out next to Harvey, but they can't use that trick twice. I think that's got to be gone.
I think this is going to be a piece of evidence that cements somebody's suspicion in the future. It's not going to be the smoking gun. It's not going to make anyone suspect him. But when they put the pieces together, they're going to realise that the G meant Gabrielle.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, Peter sees Stephen in the cafe. He's like, "Get out of my way. Stay out of my way. I don't want Carla to go back to work." And they lock horns over this. And Peter says, "Carla's coming back. She's going to get rid of you. Your days are numbered, mate." Matey. That's what nautical phrase for friend, in case you need a translation.
Thank you.
Stephen calls Michael to the factory.
You got a bit of fun.
I know I do, and you're not really helping me out at all. You're making. Well, I'm trying to drink, and normally when you have a problem, I pick up and start reading. I
found this story not that engaging this week, and I have been a fan of the Stephen story all this time, but I think he just needs to do another murder, because
he needs to murder someone, please.
All of this stuff with Lou and getting more characters involved, and then cliffhangers and overheard conversations and coincidences. It's losing me. It's really, really losing me.
What they've done is they've dangled too many red herrings in front of us, going, "Oh, is this going to be Stephen's next victim? No. Yeah. Is this going to be Steve? No." So Stephen has still got Michael under his wing, hasn't he? He's under his thrall, and he's turned Michael. Michael hasn't realised how subtly Stephen's done this and turned it into Stephen and Michael versus Carla. And he's like, oh, I hope she doesn't come with a takeaway coffee because she's in beast mode. She comes in with a takeaway coffee. It's on. She tells them that normal service is back on track next fortnight. I want Lou's coming for a meeting this afternoon. Stephen, get out my seat. Then Peter and Stephen have another face-off in the shop, and Peter's saying, oh, I'm on to you. Is Peter and Tim gonna join forces?
Well, I've actually written that later.
Combination.
They're starting to build
They're
the
both
people
taxi
who
drivers.
have suspicions of Stephen. You're right. They do, yeah.
Colleagues. They probably work it out at the Christmas pie. So Lou tells Stephen again, there's no way I'm working with the factory after this, and I want to talk to you about this stolen tiepin. And she says, look, I know you were at my hotel room yesterday and now this tiepin's gone missing. You stole it, didn't you? And he says, that's ridiculous. You're just so stressed. I'm sorry about your husband dying and everything, but I didn't steal your tiepin. And she's not convinced. The meeting ends. He slopes off. He's annoyed. And he goes back to the factory and he says, no, Lou's still in a snit. And she says, well, at least we tried. We get this order done and then we'll make a fresh start. So Peter walks past Stephen and Carla in the pub, and Stephen apologises about... I can't understand. He's like, honesty is the best policy. Sorry I ratted you out. And then he holds out his hand and Peter won't shake his hand. There's literally no plausible reason why Carla should trust him. Why does Carla just accept that Stephen's like, I just don't like lies?
Well, he obviously does because he does a great job on the Zoom call on Friday.
Oh, that's true.
The story
just
barely raised its head on Friday, but it was, yeah.
Carla's getting her feet back under the table at the factory. She's doing a pitch. Stephen helps. They do a Zoom call and they nail it. They're like,
thanks to Stephen.
They're like one of those like stock images of two successful business people.
Yeah. So as I said, I didn't really. I feel like every time, like you said, they're saying, could this be it? Is this going to be dramatic change of circumstances? And sometimes it is, like the fact that Elaine's now not in the programme. Sometimes there's weeks on here where something's dangled in front of me and it pays off, but this week it didn't, and the tiepin didn't really lead anywhere, and I'm not really interested in Lou's character, and no, I think it maybe is because I was more interested in the Tyrone story this week, and any scene that came on that wasn't that I was a little bit disappointed with. But the coincidences, the phony cliffhangers of like somebody coming into Stephen's room or Lou's room when Stephen was in there. I didn't buy the fact that Lou originally accepted that he was just loitering around the hotel room because he wanted to see her. Didn't she notice that her key card was gone?
I don't know if you would necessarily. If you've got your stuff in the bag and then you're walking up to the hotel room, why would you get your card key out? He took the card out of the cardboard slip.
Yeah.
So you would just take the slip out and go, where's my card? But she went in the room because Jules is in the room.
But she must have found out at some point.
She must have found out, but she's
did we see him
not put it
return
together.
the card? I don't know.
Well,
she almost did put it
together.
but she did think that she'd put it together because she accused him of stealing the tiepin. So she must have thought,
yeah, there's
someone's
been
in my room to steal the tiepin.
There's something missing
Stephen was that.
He could have put the key card down when he was in the room, and then she would have gone, oh, I must have just forgotten to take it.
I'm not sure what Stephen's plan was. Like, was he just hoping that Lou wouldn't notice the tiepins missing?
Here's an idea.
And is that what?
If you want to steal somebody's tiepin out of their jewellery box, next time, Stephen, what you do is you take the little jewellery box and you put it in the bath upside down with the jewellery out. So it looks like somebody was either the cleaner's done it, trying to take the jewellery out, or Jules or the kid's done it, or she's done it when she's drunk, who knows, and it's gone down the drain in the hotel.
Nice. Sneaky, shady.
Because that makes more sense. Then the question is, how did my jewellery box get in the bath? Not who stole the tiepin. See?
There's also...
if me and Stephen combined our forces, we could kill anybody on the planet.
I also don't believe that there wouldn't be any CCTV in the hotel that could have showed that Stephen was going in there.
Nobody's going to listen to Lou going, someone stole a tiepin out of my room. I'm not going to check the CCTV.
If I said somebody has been in my room and they have taken this, I want you to show me who it is. They would. So there's just too many things that
I don't think that they would be able. I don't think that they would. I think they'd say, no, you can't just come and say you want to look at the CCTV video of the hotel. You've got to have a better reason than that. Come back with the police. And then she'd go to the police and go, you know that tiepin I keep going on about? Well, it's gone missing. The police would say, forget it, love. You've had your chance. We're not interested. We know what happened to Rufus.
I don't know.
Been banging on about this bloody tiepin. You didn't know your husband as well as you thought you did. He's dead. You were estranged. He had a tiepin with Love G on it. Get over yourself. It was obviously his girlfriend.
G for girlfriend.
Yeah, that's how I sign everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can write that. You could have written that in if you wanted to, or you could just the shortcut is forget it. She knows it was him.
So Carla's back in the factory then?
Does anyone see anything different coming out of this?
No. That's because I found little to interest me with this week.
Well, Uncle Stephen's always the best character in every scene.
Not this week. I want to move on because I want to talk about this Rover story, which I found much more useful. Not useful, engaging. What does mean useful?
I like useful scenes.
So, the Monday stuff, I have separated the Gemma side of things with the Ed and Ronnie side of things because it didn't appear at the beginning that they were the same story, but I mean, they're still not
maybe they are.
So on Monday, and this is another downside of this week. Only one day of Henry, and he only got 2 or 3 scenes.
Well, this is unacceptable.
I know. So Gemma's in her least chavvy clothing for her PA job, and she's pretty nervous about the whole thing. But Chesney is reassuring. He says, "Look, you're going to do a great job. You look really professional." And she looked okay, didn't she? But then he kind of ruins it a little bit by giving her a pink fluffy jotter and pen.
This kind of annoyed me.
Why would Chesney think that that's an appropriate thing to bring?
They're not stupid, are they? They're naive and they have a different taste. But they understand the difference between a business notebook and a fluffy pen.
I would just kind of assume that if I'd starting a new job as someone's PA, I might be given my own stationery to use. I don't know. It was a sweet gesture, but maybe a little short-sighted.
I think it would have still been funny because they obviously wanted the visual joke there. But why didn't they just write like we can't afford, like they're always banging on, they don't have any money, and now he's buying a bloody this would have cost about £10 probably Paper Chase is gone now, but it wouldn't have been cheap to buy this silly nonsense. Why didn't they say, oh, this is one of the kids and we don't have any pens and paper? And then she would have said, okay, I'll take it in. And then when they got there, the joke would have been that you don't need to bring your own stationery. You don't need a fluffy monster pen. We have biros.
Doesn't matter. So she goes to the pub. Jenny thinks Gemma looks great as well. Jenny's looking a little bit desperate, isn't she? She's like, please, you've got to do this. This is my one shot. If you're the PA, you're going to be there to try and maneuver. That's a bit of a risk putting Gemma in charge of
anything.
Yeah, basically. But off Gemma goes to work. So she has an orientation session. So people had said that why would Henry hire Gemma as a PA when she's never had any training? She gets probably a good hour on Monday morning, and then she knows everything she possibly needs to know. Although they don't teach her shorthand, it turns out.
No, it's difficult to learn that
in
an hour.
Gemma finds Henry and his dad in the meeting room.
I was really happy to see this meeting room.
Well,
I was like,
we
they've got a
last
set.
week on the podcast.
I said they're not going to do a Newton and Ridley brewery, any set. There's not going to be any set. So when they actually had a meeting room,
this is probably the only set we'll see.
When they had the meeting room, I was like, oh, they're investing in this storyline. That's really good.
Yeah, and then there was no more for the rest of the week.
Well, no, there was no more of this story.
Well, not for this part, but maybe we'll see. What was his name? Waterman, the guy from the hotel.
Dude.
Anyway, maybe they'll have him and Philip having secret meetings in that room.
What a
later on
dude!
in the
Is
story.
his name.
Anyway, Mr. Newton, Henry's dad, isn't very impressed with Gemma's fluffy accessories and says, "Well, at least hope you got decent shorthand at least." And Gemma's like, "Oh, what shorthand when it's at home?" Honestly. Meeting's over later. We don't get to see any of this. It turns out that they didn't talk about the rovers, so Jenny sending Gemma in as a spy didn't really pay off on the first day. And Philip says, "You're just a mole. What are you trying to do? We just ran out of time, that's all. There's nothing nefarious going on here." He disappears off, and Gemma thinks, "Oh, I've shown myself up. I've been an idiot." Henry says, No. Let's get you a more appropriate diary. So Gemma, which we didn't even get to see that, did we?
It would have been exactly like the scene in the first Harry Potter movie when Harry goes to Ollivander's to get his wand.
Yeah.
He would have opened the door of this vast stationery cupboard and gone, "Select the pen that best suits you."
Sadly,
or maybe
another
the
pink
one...
jotter, fluffy jotter, probably would have
just
flown
kind of
off
floats
the shelves at her. It's like, well,
okay.
Anyway,
it's meant to be.
They go back. Gemma goes back to the pub, and Gemma says, "Look, sorry, I've not been able to make any steps forward with this today." And that was basically as far as Gemma's side of the story goes. So we're, I suppose, led to believe that she keeps on PAing for the rest of the week, but doesn't get anywhere with it.
She only just does her job. She doesn't actually get anything out of it.
Yes. The Ed story, and Ronnie, which I found utterly dull until tonight. Basically, Ronnie's come home to number 3 and says, well, not number home, he goes to visit Ed and says, "I've just sold the last house. Business celebrations
and everyone
all
goes,
round."
"Oh God, I forgot about that."
Completely forgot what you do, Ronnie. So Ronnie says to Ed, "Look, I want to take our relationship to the next level.
Let's be father and son.
Let's be brothers in it. Let's be like, we saw the Mario Brothers movie earlier this year and they got it all sorted out, it seems. Let's be the Bailey brothers." So they decide that they're going to go into business together and they're going to call it Eddie-ron.
I hated that.
I
object to it.
I don't know whether it's supposed to sound like a bad business name, but it doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
Does it?
No. As the week goes on,
it sounds like Enron, which is that company. Isn't that company that screwed everyone over?
I think it sounds like. No, I don't know what I think it sounds like. Zac Efron. As the week goes on, it turns out that Ed is definitely the more cautious of the brothers in this partnership. Ronnie says, "Look, you've got no ambition. We need to get out there. We need to take risks." And Ed's like, "Oh, I'm not sure." And Ronnie says, "Look, I'm gonna buy you dinner at the hotel tomorrow, and we're gonna sort this out. We're gonna see where this business will take us." So today we see them at the hotel. It starts off with just Ronnie and Debbie, and this is where we are introduced to Jason Waterford, who's the owner of a major food and drink retailer who's expanding. Debbie tells Ronnie he's a big cheese in food. Big cheese in cheese.
When she started going, "Oh, he's a big name in the food and drink," I was like, snore. I also got confused because I completely forgot what the man in the RD affair storyline, or coercive control storyline, what the husband looked like.
There's lots of slick businessmen being introduced to us at the moment.
Is that the guy that was married?
We'd never met him before.
But he looked weirdly similar to Philip Newton.
I will agree with you on that.
They both looked like they enjoyed a snifter of brandy.
Yeah. So then Philip Newton walks in and they shake hands, and Debbie's like, "What's going on there then?" I sense that something big is going down here. She's all about the conspiracy theories.
She knows what she's about.
So Ed and Ronnie are both watching these two guys later, and Ronnie reckons that they should be trying to buy Philip Newton a drink later to let them know they're expert pub renovators, having just recently done this. So he goes up to the bar, Philip's there, and Ronnie says, "Hey, got any pubs that need renovating? I'm your guy. Here's my business card."
They're
and
like,
Philip doesn't
"How
appreciate this,
dare
does he?
you?"
He thinks he's being a bit pushy. And so he and Ed go and sit down, a little bit deflated about it.
They get taken down a peg or two, don't they?
They do. Debbie is still sure though that these guys are up to something, and she says, "You know, I'm gonna go and take them over a glass of champagne, a bottle of champagne, and see if I can find anything out." And she does. She beckons Ronnie to the corridor later and says, "I've managed to pinch a document." What did she say? That she said she spilled. She said, "I spilt some wine on it," and then I said, "Oh, sorry, I'll take this and photocopy it for you so it's not wet anymore." And they went, "That sounds like a great idea." No, I thought that she just said she was going to go and dry it out, but she
did something about a photocopy.
Yeah, she did.
It didn't make any sense.
I think that she said, "I'm going to go and dry it out," but
she photocopied
it for herself.
That
they
sense.
don't know that she's photocopied it. But anyway, the long and short of it is...
I apologise, Debbie, I didn't understand.
The long and short of it is that Waterford is buying Newton and Ridley.
No!
Oh my gosh. So Ronnie says,
that can't happen.
What's that going to mean for Jenny? This is now throwing up whole...
That can't happen.
Things into the air.
Because
and Debbie says, you can't tell Jenny. It would what?
Ruin Newton and Ridley.
Why would it ruin Newton?
Because it's a family business.
Oh, so sad. Debbie says, look, I love that Debbie already has come up with a plan here.
I know how I can make money out of this.
She will definitely use underhand methods and get into bed with dodgy people, like she did with what's his face? What was the name of that guy that was buying up the street a few years ago?
Stanley.
Oh, stop it! You know what his name was? The guy that was dodgy with Faye.
Frederick.
Stop it! Putting fake names in my head. What were you saying? No, stop it.
I don't remember his name, otherwise
That's
I'd
fine.
say
Well, stop telling me fake names because it's stopping me thinking of his actual name. I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about, everybody. Ray Crosby. Thank you very much. Yeah, she was getting into bed with him, and she faked the bistro robbery last year.
No.
So she was,
Is she?
She's all up for nefarious deeds if she can get a bit of cash.
Are you trying to suggest that she might be involved in insider trading?
I think that she is. She says to Ronnie, what you need to do, right, is buy some shares in Newton and Ridley, and as soon as this deal is announced, they're going to skyrocket. You can sell, pocket the cash, win-win. And Ronnie's like, hang on a minute, that sounds a bit dodgy. And Debbie's like, yeah, but you can't lose, honestly. I think you should go for it.
She's like, all the politicians do it. Why don't you do it?
Ed's not happy with this idea when he hears about it. He says, it's insider trading, we can't be doing that.
He says it very loudly several times.
Yeah. He says, and Debbie says, no, look, Aggie's going to think it's brilliant. Think of all the money he'll be bringing. And he's like, Aggie, if she found out about this, she'd say this was gambling. Illegal gambling at that.
It's insider trading. It's insider trading. So ask Martha Stewart about insider trading.
He storms off, and Debbie ends up pointing out to Ronnie, "It's not going to stop you doing it."
No, take your half of the money and get some cash, lad. That's what I do. It's not insider trading because he is not an insider. She's right.
She says that, doesn't she?
It's not. It's completely unethical, and I don't know if it is illegal. Probably is illegal, but it's not insider trading.
If you've got inside knowledge, does it matter where that inside knowledge came from,
or is it just inside knowledge?
Well, it is because he's read a letter.
I don't care. Do you know what? I never need to know about this. I never need to know the rules about insider trading. It's never be relevant for my life ever.
Okay. What did you think about the developments with this today?
Why are they talking about shares and stocks and takeovers and what is this, Succession?
It's not the sort of thing that usually interests me at all, but the fact that it's got the rovers and the bistro and everything all tied up with it, I'm suddenly a lot more invested.
I just looked it up. It is insider trading.
Oh, okay.
If you have non-public knowledge.
Oh, well, there we go.
But it just seemed. Oh.
Well, hasn't this opened up a lot more opportunities for different directions that this story can go down? Like, is he gonna do it for one thing?
Are Eddie and Ronnie going to end up owning Ridley's by accident?
Well, it certainly could lead somehow. I don't really know how into. Does Ronnie have some kind of investment in the Rovers? And we've been talking for years.
Bloody Debbie going to end up owning the Rovers?
Possibly. Is Ronnie going to be able to sweep in there? Obviously, there's Jenny and Ronnie's paths have crossed in the past. So is she going to think that he's there saving the day? Or I haven't kind of plotted it out in my head exactly how it's going to work yet, but I'm. Having Ronnie now involved it kind of makes sense to me. I'm also, I asked you this one earlier, does Henry know that the brewery is being sold underneath
I think
him?
that's a very good question.
Because what does this mean that he would lose his inheritance?
Right, so here you go.
Or does he still have...
Mr. Newton strikes me as the sort of person who would not tell Henry.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks his lad is a bit soft, probably, and a bit thick. Rightly or wrongly. So he's not going to tell Henry. The question is Henry a shareholder or an employee? And if he's the latter, he's not going to benefit necessarily. In fact, he might find himself unemployed if the new owners consider him superfluous to requirements. If he's a shareholder, he could get a nice big wad of cash out of it. If he isn't a shareholder, no doubt he'll get some inheritance of his dad at some point, but he wants to wait around for your dad to die to get money.
Yeah.
If he gets fired by the new owners, what will he do, Henry? He doesn't strike me as having many transferable skills. Although he seems to know what he's doing.
He does now. He seems to have grown up a bit in the past 5 years.
He's a bit sensible. He's got experience, but how seriously would you take somebody who's only got his job through nepotism? I don't know.
If they agree this deal as well, could Waterford put the kibosh on the Rovers buying? Yeah. And
then maybe Ed and Ronnie will be like, well, I'll buy it then because I've got all this money from insider trading.
Exactly. Well, this is exactly what I think. There's lots of possibilities that could happen here. I wonder whether Henry could be the one that ends up becoming a hero in this. Does he find out about it, put a stop to it? Maybe that's just what I'd like to happen, having him coming in saving the day. It was also interesting to me to wonder, is the brewery, why are they wanting to sell? Are they having money troubles? Does that tie in with why they weren't able to buy the Rovers? It wasn't a good enough investment because they couldn't afford to take risks at the moment.
Well, they don't want to add to their portfolio a business that's failing when they're trying to sell it to someone else. I know that business.
I don't understand much about how businesses work.
I've watched The Apprentice. I've seen all of Succession.
If Waterford buys Newton and Ridley, can they still... They're clearly, I would have thought, still wanted to trade under the name of Newton and Ridley because this brewery name holds clout, and I don't think
they're not going to change the name.
Yeah,
they better bloody not do. Otherwise, I'm going to write in.
So I think if we think, well, it's the buyout's not going to happen because they're not going to get rid of Newton and Ridley, I think that the buyout absolutely could still happen, and it's not going to affect us as viewers in the same way as the Rovers being bought out possibly could. You don't seem as interested in this one as I am. Or are you just a bit hot and tired at this point? You used all your energy on the Cassie story.
Yeah, I think I need a little break. Just a tiny break. I just need to get another drink.
Okay, you're back. You seem to be refreshed. Got your glass of water.
I'm definitely back.
Well, Gemma, get ready to be excited because it's the Lauren story. This is actually one that lots of people... It's generated a fair bit of discussion because of what happened between Lauren and Roy on Monday's episode. So I think there's probably going to be some bits to talk about there. Let's find out. Lauren Border.
Lauren Border.
Go for it.
Is it me?
Yes, it's you.
On Monday, Lauren is still useless at the cafe, but it turns out that... she's actually not wrong when she challenges Beth, who accuses her of shortchanging her, and Shannon's like, "Yeah, Lauren, you didn't take horrible old cow's word for it. You stood up for yourself, cool." And back at number 8, Lauren's like, "I really feel validated for once in my whole life," and he's pleased for her and he makes her some lunch. What do you reckon it was? We probably saw what it was. It's probably beans on toast.
Probably.
Lauren tells Max he's making her feel special, and she goes in for a kiss, and he pulls away, and she goes off on a huff, and she turns up at the Rovers, and
Cafe.
Roy's cleaning up.
Cafe. I've written Rovers here, but it's not the Rovers.
He turns up at Roy's, and he's cleaning up, and she says, "I've just made myself look pathetic. Can you give me the money for my 2 shifts, because I'm quitting my job, and I need to get away from here." And Roy's like, "Look, you're upset about something," and he offers her something to eat. So she obviously didn't have lunch earlier. So she sits down, and he says, "Where are you going to go?" And she says, "I don't have anywhere to go." And he says, "I'll book you a B&B But she says, no, I'm not going to let you pay for it. And he says, well, you're not going to sleep rough. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, dear.
That was a good one.
She says, I don't know where we are. I'm not going to... Where am I?
He's trying to say, I'm going to pay for you to stay somewhere. And she's like, no,
why don't you stay here?
I can't accept
I don't want to worry
charity.
about you. And she says, okay. And then she says, I'm grateful.
There's lots of he says and she says around it, wasn't there?
Wasn't it? And she says, thanks so much. Do you want anything in return? And she's looking away. She won't look him in the eye. She looks upset. And he's like, I don't know what do you mean? And she's saying, oh, well, you're lonely, and if you've got needs, then I can help you. And it's all really embarrassing. She's obviously dying inside. Roy's like absolutely aghast, and he's saying, have I done something to make you think that I would want that from you? And she says, no, it's not your fault. And then he's saying, well, why are you asking this? And she says, look, nothing is for nothing in this world, especially when it comes to men. And he understands that she's obviously been put in this position before and had to do things that she didn't want to do. And he then says, look, this isn't going to work out. You can't stay here now. I've already had Tracy at me once. I'm not having this. You can stay at Carla, so I'm just going to give her a ring. And she says, can I have a glass of water? So he goes to get it for her and she runs away. So on Wednesday, Roy's phoning Shona to ask her where Lauren is. And Max is worrying too because he doesn't know either. And Shona says, well, she's fine. She's just probably a bit embarrassed about everything. And then later in the cafe, Roy tells Shona about why Lauren's not turned up.
Yeah, Roy fills Shona in on the whole. She tried to ask me whether I wanted anything.
Shona's conflicted about what to tell him. Who's him about what?
Doesn't matter. If you don't understand the note, just don't read it.
Oh, right. I'll just leave all the story out then. Lauren turns up at number 8 and she finds Max and he wants to know where she's been. And Shona comes in and says, I know that you came on to Roy. Oh, was that not what you were talking about? And then it gets very awkward and she says, oh, look, okay. I came on to him because I thought that's what he wanted. I was just trying to do something nice for him. Sorry. Is he okay? And Shona says, yeah, he's fine. And Lauren says, I just need to get away from here. Everything's really cringe. I gotta go. I'm gonna leave you. I'll miss you all, but I can't stay here. And Shona goes in for a hug, and Max says, I'll make you a cup of tea. And then when he goes into the kitchen, he asks her whether it's his fault because she feels rejected by Max. And she's like, who do you think you are? I was just trying to repay Roy because I've done it before. It's just a transaction. It's no biggie. And that's a really interesting word because that's what Pat Phelan used to say. Transaction.
Well, he said it once, didn't he?
Well, it was a very
that's how
significant conversation that came up in.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was it just?
I don't know. I don't remember it. Such an important conversation that I don't remember the context. But there's definitely this thing about on Coronation Street of a transaction and people believing that they're stuck in a cycle of some kind of negative behaviour because they feel like it's part of life or there's some kind of unescapable kind of link between one thing and another that's not necessarily true. And Max like, look, this is really messed up. And I was like, look, don't feel bad for me. It's fine because he obviously feels bad. She's been raped before. Basically, she's been forced into a situation where she's desperate for some kind of human need, like whether it's shelter or food or whatever it is somebody held over her head, that she then had to have sex with somebody to get something from them. And he feels really bad that she's in this situation. And he's like, look, she's like, don't worry about it. And she's still bitter about the fact that Max clearly likes Sabrina more than her. And she starts being horrible about her, saying, oh, she's stupid smile and phony laugh. And I wonder whether she goes to leave and she gives him a hug and he's saying, where are you going? And she says, oh, tell Sabrina I don't send my love, and leaves. But I wonder whether we're supposed to get from... Because Lauren clearly hates Sabrina.
Yes.
We get that. But are they laying this on really thickly because they want us to think that Lauren is not using the most obvious insult that you would do given her background, which would be to bring up her skin colour.
She's changed.
Sabrina hasn't... Lauren hasn't said anything about, you know, oh, she's stealing my boyfriend, she shouldn't even be here, or, you know, why are you dating a black girl? She hasn't said any of those things. And I really honestly think that somebody with her background would say that. So has she actually changed?
But no, I still don't know, because it wasn't necessarily just about skin colour. It seemed like it was more about the Islamophobia, wasn't it? And I don't know whether Lauren had a problem with any non-white person.
I think Lauren did. I think that she didn't like Sabrina. I don't know. There's definitely...
She's just annoyed because she thought that if Sabrina wasn't on the scene, that she'd be able to get it on with Max.
Yes, I know that's the most obvious thing.
But you reckon
possible.
There's more?
No, I'm saying to you, it's the fact that she keeps insulting her. There was no reason to have Lauren say, "Oh, Sabrina's got a stupid smile and a phony laugh." You know, she's jealous of Sabrina, we know that. We didn't really need to hear it. But it's the fact that she's said these things without insulting her skin tone are supposed to be redemptive.
That's good.
Am I the only one who's getting this?
You might be right.
From here.
She knows that Max, if she says anything racist, then that is totally it with
that's true.
For Max.
That's true.
So she might be thinking it.
She might be thinking it. That's, you know, that's one of the sad things, isn't it? That you can never really know what somebody's thinking if they're being horrible to you because of the colour of your skin. But I just think it's very significant that in all the time we've seen Lauren disliking Sabrina, she has never once said anything racist.
I think, to be honest, I think that she probably has changed, and I'm still reckoning that she's gonna be in here in the show for the long haul, whatever that looks like, a couple of years, and we'll end up forgetting that she was ever racist to begin with.
I'm gonna begrudgingly accept that they've both changed, but I find it incredibly unbelievable that two people that were so convinced not even a year ago that there's something in humans that racism taps into that makes it such a sad and tragic thing. It's so easy, such an easy thing for humans to latch onto, that I can't believe that something so easy and so, I was going to say natural, but I don't mean it in a positive way, that it would be so easy to overcome that very basic kind of tribalism, isn't it?
Yeah.
It goes back to, you know, that thousands of years. It was useful once to humans to be able to distinguish one group from another because we were probably fighting all the time. We don't need this now, but there's something in our brains that loves this idea of us and them. We just can't get away from it. So the idea that these two people that were so entrenched in that very, very, it's kind of addictive and in a really sick way, this idea that you can blame something on everybody else.
It's difficult as well because we didn't see any of her supposed redemption. It's just we have to take her word for it. She just turned up and went,
oh dear, my dad's a bad man, I've just remembered. So yeah, I don't buy that either of these characters overcame this so easily and now we're supposed to feel sorry for them. Lauren hasn't apologised to anybody that she hurt.
No.
And I don't buy the fact that she wouldn't be racist against Sabrina, even though we have said before that there is definitely a difference between, you know, what they think about different groups of people. I still think that there's definitely a blanket racism that's just anyone who isn't white.
I can't help, but I can't forget the fact that she was kind of conspiring with her dad a month ago to get him out of prison by using Max, basically. But I still think
I've got whiplash from this.
I think we're still supposed to be feeling sorry for her and liking her with what happened this week. Let's get to the end.
I can feel sorry for somebody and understand why they're in the situation they are and have human emotions, but I can also feel like they don't deserve sympathy. Do you know?
Yeah, totally. Let's get to the end of
it's not that far from this,
No,
is it?
it's got a few scenes left.
So, She says, "Tell Sabrina don't sell my love." And I'm not racist anymore, by the way. Leaves and goes to the cafe and apologises to Roy. And he says, "Don't worry about it. Women throw themselves at me all the time." In fact, I've written you into the rota for next week. And she says, "I can't. No, I can't. It's too embarrassing. Everyone's seen this on telly now. I've got to go." And he says, "Look, I know, but look, whether you stay or you go, I'm always here for you. I'm only a phone call away." And she says, "I'll never forget you. You're an absolute ledge." And then she leaves. And she goes back to number 8. And nobody's there.
Yeah, no.
And she goes through the drawers. She finds a key. She looks at it. Salon. And she phones Roy and she says, "I've decided to stay."
Yes.
She's going to hide in the salon.
Hide in the salon, which is a great hiding place because nobody ever goes into the salon on the show anymore. Like, last year I would have suggested the cabin is the perfect hideout spot for Lauren. But yeah, salon, absolutely brilliant now. Or Trim Up North would be a good one too.
Who was it that was in Trim Up North? Oh, Kelly.
Yeah.
How many blonde girls are we going to stash in salons on this show?
So, what did you make of the whole Lauren coming on to Roy? Had you seen anything before we watched it about this happening? See, I had... And I don't know where it was. I think I just saw it as a fleeting headline and it was one of these I wish I hadn't. But I saw something like Lauren to offer herself to Roy or Lauren to proposition Roy or Lauren offers Roy sex or something like that. And I was thinking...
It's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah. And I didn't know how it was going to be played. Like, the way...
Roy might go, "Look, why not?"
The way that they did it... She wasn't sort of being all sexy and seductress or anything with him, was she? Like you said, she was clearly not into it and she couldn't even look at him while she was saying it. She had her back to him. She had tears in her eyes and it was clearly to her a really icky suggestion, but one that she felt that she had to do. But when I went into the episode, I thought that she was going to either get the wrong end of the stick and think that maybe he wanted it, but I didn't understand how that could work. Or I thought that it was going to be just her being horrible, and maybe is this the way that we finally see the light, get rid of her. She's propositioned Roy, there's no coming back from that. She's making fun of him. But yeah, we've ended up with a situation now that, and lots of people I've seen online are saying, I didn't used to like Lauren, but I sympathise with her more as a character now.
I can see. I could have seen a mishap happening when perhaps Roy compliments her baps, and then from there she gets the wrong impression. But that's not how it played out.
No, I get how people are feeling more sorry for her, and I totally think that I probably would. But I'm just feeling a little bit tired of the waif and stray coming in and being redeemed, and I know that's completely doesn't tie in with what I've been saying about the Cassie character because I'm really loving that part of the story.
But Cassie's a kind of subversive kind of person, whereas now this is the thing. Lauren's just turned into the ultimate victim.
Yeah.
And again,
giving Alia a run for her money.
This is what I'm going to say. I said before that there's a certain kind of fatalistic streak that she's got, where she doesn't help herself, and she just. Her stealing that key and letting herself into the salon is the first positive go-get-em thing that she's done the whole time she's been in the show. That's the most positive character development as far as I'm concerned here. Where she's actually, instead of giving up, she just, every time something's too difficult, she gives up or she says, "Oh, there's no way around it." And I've said it before about that character trait. And you see it in real life too, and it's a very easy thing to fall into. But this character is now standing up for herself a bit more, and I like that about it. I found the scene uncomfortable, but it didn't move me as much as I think it moved other people, because I thought, I kind of had the impression anyway, this young girl has been, before Max came on the scene, it was one young girl and a gang of 4 or 5 men, all of whom were racist criminal thugs. I knew something weird was going on with that girl. I think it was kind of a subtext already.
See, I didn't, and that's what doesn't really gel with me. Yep, they weren't very nice pieces of work, obviously. They were racist, but I didn't get the same vibes from them as I did with, say, Nathan. When that is this just going to be a repeat of the Bethany storyline in a way, or what could?
The other thing that when she came back, she said she had been with her mum and her new boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I also got the impression that she was hinting that he came on to her as well. So I wonder whether it was, you know, from him that she learned this idea that she's got to pay for her way in some kind of sordid way. But yeah.
I just don't like the idea that, you know, not only are they racist, but they're also this, and it's just adding more misery. And is she going to be the latest Coronation Street blonde who they just put disaster upon misery upon, they just heap it onto because she's a good crier and looking sad? But, you know, I suppose I wouldn't blame Corrie for doing it because that's what often wins the awards and gets people talking.
But
I'm just not feeling it. I'm ready to feel it again. Kelly has not even been gone a year and it already feels like she's jumping into her shoes.
Lauren is not a real person, so I'm being very callous about her and her experiences. I'm not connecting to it in a way that I'm kind of being expected to. What I want from Lauren is not a sad story about how she was abused or coerced. I want her to go, my dad screwed my life up. I was given such rubbish education and all my ideas about the world are wrong. But you know what? I've got a chance now. People are giving me an opportunity here. I'm going to take it. I don't want, I've messed up, I'm leaving. And then, no, stay. Next episode. I've messed up, I'm leaving. I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. You know, she gives up so easily. Yeah. I don't want that out of a character. And I know there's a mould of this kind of, you know, a ne'er-do-well gone right. And it always seems to be a young, attractive blonde girl who's caught up in some criminal activity that then she's got a heart of gold underneath it all.
50% of the time, Roy's going to be the one that helps her to better herself.
That's fine, but Lauren needs to grow a backbone here, and she needs to show me that she's going to fight for herself as much as anybody else is, instead of just turning over. I
just don't want a tragedy. I'm also feeling that this story is seriously lacking Sabrina as a regular face.
And Gav.
What
happened to his bloody girlfriend?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Beck.
Beck?
Beck.
So he said Speck.
I don't mind that Gav's not in it. As much as I like him, he's not necessarily needed. But if she's kind of making fun of Sabrina and being jealous of her and Sabrina's on the scene, the fact that Sabrina's never in any scenes at the moment, it feels like they're talking about somebody that doesn't exist. And I think that her being there and maybe Lauren seeing Max and Sabrina getting close, that might, you know, stir things up a little bit more for her. But it's just...
I'm also not buying Max as a heartthrob of Weatherfield. Like, he's just out of prison and now all the babes are
girls
flocking.
Love a bad boy. So sorry this one hasn't particularly grabbed me as much as it has for other people.
I really want to like this more than I do, and I think there's a lot of potential in Lauren, and that the actress, you know,
she did a great job.
She's performing well, and I like her personal story of, you know, loving the show.
Yeah, I thought that when Kate, you know, was performing those scenes and she was tearing up and everything, I was like, yeah, she's absolutely doing more than she needs to for this one. But I
think maybe they're like worried and thinking, well, we don't want this to just be another Becky / Kylie / Kelly. We want her to be her own person. Well, how can we do that? Let's make her weak and sad and fatalistic. No, that's not what we want.
They're always weak and sad.
They're not, though. They're not. They're downtrodden sometimes, but they always fight for themselves.
Well,
and I also need her really to sort of have an account for herself and why. And I understand the grooming thing, but I still need a bit of contriteness. I still need a bit of acknowledgement and a bit of taking accountability for your past and your actions and explaining how is it different if you won't acknowledge what you've done. How can you change if you're not accepting that there was an issue? She hasn't. She's basically like, oh yeah, well, I just hung around because my dad told me to. Like, I don't. You are old enough to know the difference between right and wrong.
Okay, Ryan's story then. So we had a couple of scenes on the Wednesday and Fridays there. He's got a delivery, got more drugs through the post.
No juice.
Yes. He says it's just protein shakes. And Carla's kind of getting worried about him, just locked up in his room all day, pumping iron and everything. And she says, Alia wants to speak to you. Do you want to go and go meet with Alia? You've been really boring recently, just stuck in your room. So they meet up in the cafe, and he's just a bit out of sorts. He doesn't want his sandwich, and I wouldn't want that sandwich either. Did you see the thickness of the bread?
Michael, people like those kind of sandwiches.
Is that a couple of centimetres thick?
It's called a doorstop sandwich.
You couldn't taste the filling in
People like that kind of thing.
I don't.
I'm just going to say this. I'm obviously going to be a terrible aunt when I get the chance, which will be never. That if I was Carla, I'd be like, Peter, I think Ryan's just in there with porn on his laptop this whole time. He says he's pumping iron, or I think he's pumping something else.
I know, maybe.
I would be like, don't go in there. And I'm telling you, he can do his own.
Carla just letting herself in brazenly into his room.
I would not touch a single piece of that boy's laundry. Anyone who goes into a single guy's room, he's been locked away in there for days on end and touches their trousers voluntarily, is asking for serious trouble. And she's lucky that it was just drugs he was doing.
Well, this is what she does on Friday, isn't it? She's making his room, making his bed for him, trying to clean up a bit after him.
He's standing there in his dressing gown. She's a lunatic.
Yeah, he's like, you done? I just want to get dressed, bugger off, Carla. So she disappears away, he injects himself and then punches his wardrobe. And I thought that was...
It's good.
That came out of nowhere, yeah.
Well, this is part of the side effects of taking...
It's his roid rage, isn't it?
Yeah, steroids.
Yeah. So he goes out for a run later, but he's been pushing himself too hard and collapses outside of Victoria Gardens. Fortunately, local hero Gary is there to help him hobble over to a bench and see that everything's all right.
Well, I just want to point out here that having stomach pain is a side effect of steroid misuse.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it's not because he was running too hard.
Well, this is what he says. So he tells Gary, "I've just been pushing myself a bit too hard with my run. I'm fine." Gary sees that he's got a can of energy drink there and says, "Look, is it this?" Or he asks, "Have you been on anything stronger than caffeine?" Doesn't he? Gary has had a history of.
Gary used to work.
Related to steroids.
Didn't he used to work at the gym?
Yeah.
And this was when Sharif thought he was dealing with steroids, but he was actually buying drugs for Izzy.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
For her, and then he got busted because Sharif suspected him, and so Gary knows about steroids and using that kind of thing. I think he was hinting that he was wondering if that's what he was, but he didn't come out and say it. I don't think we need that to be spelled out.
No, but maybe Gary's going to be some sort of
he's going to be suspicious.
Helpline for Ryan to get off
He's
this
like,
eventually.
You don't need to be super buff, look at me.
Later on, you just need a really cool
You just
hair.
need a hairstyle that's awesome and unique.
Back at home later, Carla says, "What's going on with the wardrobe, Ryan? I went into your room again earlier and the door's busted." And Ryan says, "Oh, I was just doing shadow boxing."
He went for the shadow boxing gambit. He could have gone for, I saw a giant spider and I threw a brick through it.
That's what you'd have done.
Or like, I woke up and I thought it was a ghost.
Carla says, "Look, I'm getting a bit worried about your exercise addiction here.
You can get addicted to exercise."
Yeah, and she's saying you're getting more aggressive, you're getting a bit more difficult to be around. I just want the old Ryan back, the one that we used to go and watch films and things together with. And he says, "Look, let's just do that then. Let's watch a film. I promise I'm normal. There's nothing wrong with me." Goes off to his room. Looks like he's gonna take some drugs, but instead he puts the box in the bin.
Oh, good. It's all.
So that's the end of that story, isn't it? I think not. Any thoughts on this week?
I would love to be addicted to exercise. Just for like about.
How long would it take?
God, at the moment, what to get to be
To get to your perfect bod.
What's Ryan on? What's this app?
I don't know.
Bod Match or whatever. To get on Bod Match, probably about a year.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
You should, give it a try.
I don't think he needs to do this. Obviously, it's this form of self-harm, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's one of these ones where it's kind of like one of these eating disorders where you are very concentrated on healthy things and you restrict your intake, and it's very difficult to tell where the line is between obsessive, dangerous, harmful behaviour and just being very strict and kind of hard on yourself. Obviously, they've added these steroids in to make us. There's no question here that this is dangerous and harmful, and it is a form. He's punishing himself, isn't he? He's using it to distract himself, but he's also kind of punishing himself because of how his face doesn't look the way he wants, and he's kind of trying to force himself into some kind of ideal of beauty. But he's getting mad and taking it. It's kind of like what happened with Asher, where it's something unexpected. Like, we're all used to the idea of eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, and how they manifest themselves, and you can spot the signs. But this kind of stuff is a bit more insidious, and it's kind of outside most people's realm of experience. Like with Asher and the skin lining, lots of white people would never have even thought that was a thing.
No.
With Ryan, when he's exercising, I've never had to take steroids to get big, buff, meaty muscles.
You've bulked out all by yourself, haven't you?
I do like I said, I'm doing a dirty bulk at the moment, so that's why. Yeah. What do you think? What's he gonna end up? Is he gonna hurt somebody? That's the question. Is he gonna? He's already smashed the wardrobe up.
The fact
is he gonna punch Carla?
The fact that they're leading into this rage is. I'm imagining that he's gonna. The wardrobe was step one. Maybe it's gonna be hurting somebody. Is gonna be next.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there's no question about is the steroid thing wrong. Maybe Gary is going to be involved in discovering it. It felt like this week there wasn't necessarily huge plot developments. It was more just reminding us that this is what's happening. Things aren't getting better for him.
Maybe this is
We saw roid rage before. We saw Carla worried about him before. We saw him injecting himself before.
Yeah.
But it's
spiralling out of control.
It's getting worse. Maybe he's going to punch Alia.
Just imagine that. Please. No, don't say that. Maybe this is just Ryan Prescott preparing for his next role after Coronation Street in a Marvel film.
Oh, maybe. There's also the whole thing with him uploading his body pictures to this app as well, and that wasn't part of this week at all. But he's clearly obsessing over the attention that he's getting through that.
It's really just really makes me funny. Is it going to go down
the social media route there?
They've gone. Oh, we got to do a story about a boy, like a man who gets really buff and exercises his way into dangerous, harmful territory. Ryan Prescott started off about as buff as you could possibly get. Where's the transformation? This is why it was always a story where a woman was just wearing glasses, and then at the end of the film she takes the glasses off and everyone's like, oh, you were always beautiful. You can't do that with a man. Like, wow, it turns out your 6-pack is a 10-pack. Cool.
Let's get to the end of this. Let's talk about the Todd story. This is you again, isn't it?
Yeah, me, and I'm actually doing an embalming course.
What's he doing? He's just doing his lessons to become a proper funeral director and not just somebody who sits behind a desk.
I don't understand it as well as I probably should to talk about.
They explained it a couple of weeks ago, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I think he says he just needs to finish off his exams. It's a funeral director
course.
Yeah.
It's one of these things where I think I can't imagine how this can be difficult. I could probably walk this, and then I look at it and go, yeah, this is actually difficult and hard to learn. I would not want to bother with this.
Yeah, well, Todd's finding out this week that actually being a proper funeral director involves
it's really hard.
Getting up close and personal with some
Looking
dead
at
bodies.
Dead bodies. I mean, who would have known? So he's doing this course, and George is like really just blasé about this whole thing.
Well, yeah, it's natural to him now. It's been in his blood. It's been family business, and he talks about how he was having a bit of a giggle with the corpses whilst he's embalming them.
And George, Todd and Ali meet up at the Rovers at lunchtime, and they're talking about the dead bodies while he's trying to eat his hot pot, and he's really put off. And Eileen's like, "You're gonna get a pay rise." And then at home he's just surrounded by papers, looking at his laptop, and he says to Eileen, "This is really difficult. It's not just that I can't learn this, because we all know I'm dead smart and I was a lawyer and everything before I ran into a bush, but I also cannot deal with the fact getting so close and intimate with these actual dead people. Like when I do the funeral director stuff, and now I'm just saying, what were they like? What music would they like?
Yeah,
what
he's
kind of
dealing with the grieving
about
relatives.
them about when they were alive. But this is like looking at a dead body and, you know, having to interact with it physically, and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know how George does. But George and Eileen are really proud of him, and when George comes home, he gives him a little box. I thought it was going to be cufflinks.
Oh yeah, you said cufflinks, didn't you? Special coffin-shaped cufflinks.
It's actually business cards, and it's got both their names, and Todd, underneath it's got young funeral director 20, yeah. And then Todd says, "Oh, you wrote that down. I still don't know who nominated me." And George and Eileen exchange a look, and we still don't. I don't get how this.
I think probably it's supposed to be obvious that one of those nominated him,
but why didn't they just say?
I don't really care about who.
No, it's just
Stop making a mystery of it.
I don't get, like, why wouldn't you just say? Anyway.
This was fine. It was 3 scenes of an episode, wasn't it? I kind of always assumed that Todd did have things to do with the dead bodies.
You obviously can't. You obviously have to do this.
Get a special qualification
to make sure you're not going to, like, what do you not do? What do you not do with them? You don't put your hand up, you know, and turn them into a puppet.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this was fine. What they didn't mention at all this week is the whole Rest Easy trying to poach him, and I think now George has got these business cards printed with Todd's name on. Is that a way of locking him into the business because he knows that Rest Easy Man is going to try and take him away? But I can kind of imagine that this guy's going to come back next week.
Also, I understand they must have business cards. I understand the use of them, but in my mind, I'm just thinking now, why would you use a business card for a funeral director? Like, you're walking along the road and there's a car accident. You're like, hello, I need my services.
So that's it. It felt like we had lots to say about the Cassie story today, and it petered out a little bit after that. I still would say that this week was a fairly good week, but it was absolutely the Cassie stuff that kept me interested the most, and then a little bit with the Rovers. The Lauren story was clearly meant to affect us more than it did. I definitely appreciated the acting.
I'm just missing some emotional connection.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. But it's still...
But I just want to say, it's not just Lauren I have this problem with. I also have the same problem with Max.
I don't mind him.
He got somebody stabbed and blown up.
He's changed.
He's like, oh well, I can't. You know, I was groomed. Well, you groomed other people. You can't just be a circle of everybody grooming everybody till we get back to the beginning and nobody's responsible for any of their actions.
What score are you giving it this week, Gemma?
I'm gonna give this 3.5. Yes, that's
3.5 your specials out of 5.
I'm going to go away and look this song up.
Okay, hear the real thing.
Is it even a Lizzo song? I don't even know.
Of course it is. I'm going to give it 3.5 as well. I feel like I've been given 3.5s for quite a few weeks in a row at the moment.
That's a pretty good score.
Exactly. The way that I'm feeling about Corrie at the moment is there's not much at the moment that's absolutely keeping me mega hooked and gripped, and this is, you know, golden age of Coronation Street, isn't it fantastic at the moment? Can't tear my eyes away from the screen, because that's definitely not the case. But on the other hand, I'm not watching episodes going, this is absolutely dull, even though there are sometimes some stories in there at the moment that I'm not mega invested in. There's always something that's keeping me engaged enough. So I'm going to give it 3.5 smoking tashes. So out of 5.
Cassie, my character of the week.
Cassie, interesting. Why have you picked her over some of the others there? Why not Evelyn or anyone else?
Well, Evelyn, you know, Evelyn's just a masterclass in everything, but she wasn't the main character. It was Cassie who was the main character of this particular week of this installment, do you think?
Yeah. I'm going to say Cassie as well, because there's more kind of mystery around her. I'm more intrigued about Cassie's history, and, you know, is she a really nice person? Is she just taking him for a ride?
With Evelyn being moved into the flat and Cassie being moved into Tyrone's house, the perspective has changed from this being a story about Evelyn's relationship with Cassie to being Cassie's relationship with Evelyn and Tyrone.
Yes.
So I get, a triumphant return here for Claire Sweeney.
Yeah, let's
performance.
hope this is a nice lengthy stay that she's going to be.
I've got only positive things to say about her, and although I'm not relishing the direction the story inevitably has to take, how many times have I sat here and said, I'm not interested in where the story is going because I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and then next week's like,
different.
I didn't see that elephant coming through the room.
Right, I think that's it then.
No, you haven't picked yours. Who's your character?
I did. I'll go Cassie as well.
You can't just steal my idea.
You've
got to think of your own character.
No, I think it was clearly going to be somebody out of this story, and like I said, as Cassie was the one who intrigued me the most.
What about Mr. Wainwright? What's his name?
Mr. Waterfoot.
Fan.
No, it's Cassie. Cassie is my character of the week.